Yes, thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all. It gives me, sir, I'm sorry, before we start, it's live, no, sir?
Yes.
Live.
Yes, it's live.
Yes, okay, thank you. Stage begins with a paper presentation followed by valedictory post-lunch. To begin with the paper presentation of the day, I extend my warm welcome to the chairpersons of the session, Dr. B. Jayanti, Assistant Professor, Department of English, University VOC College of Engineering, Tuticorin. Welcome, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And Dr. Tenmalar Bharati B., Associate Professor, Department of English, RMD Engineering College. Welcome, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning. Are the participants ready? Yes. Dear students, the first participant is Dr. P. Charanya from SFA College. Sivakasi. Charanya, are you ready, Charanya?
Ma'am, is it audible, ma'am?
Yes, Pa. Charanya, are you ready, Charanya?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. See, Charanya, please listen. You are given 5 minutes, my dear. You
Okay.
can your paper showing your face at least once. That is for the physical attendance to be given by the coordinators. And you are supposed to present your paper for 5 minutes. And you are allowed to give the answers for the questions raised by the audience for 2 minutes. Please stick on to the timing, please. Right? Taranya?
Ma'am, my video is, can you see my video, ma'am?
You are not visible here.
My face?
Ma'am, you are audible, but you are not visible, ma'am.
Your face is not shown here, my dear. You are connected or Anita, ma'am?
I'm here, ma'am. I've connected her video, but it's not visible. Maybe her network.
Can I ask her to start then?
Saranya, ma'am, can you please turn on your video, turn it off and turn it on again?
You can reconnect yourself.
Saranya, ma'am, please make sure that you have proper network. Ma'am, while you get on with your connection, can we move on to the next person, ma'am? Well,
Yes. Next participant, next candidate, Shika.
Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Shika?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Good morning, ma'am.
Are you available?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second.
Can you start your presentation, my dear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am, I can start it.
Good morning. Are you from Jammu and Kashmir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we are happy to connect you virtually, my dear. You can start your presentation.
Same here, ma'am. I'll just share my
First,
screen.
you give the title. You should
Yes,
not
ma'am,
read. Yes.
Ma'am, is my screen visible?
Yes, Pa. Yes, you can start your presentation.
All right, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. The title of my paper is A Feminist Reading of Mandodari, Queen of Lanka. This paper takes up a feminist analysis of Manini Jayanandani's novel, Mandodari, Queen of Lanka, which is a retelling of Ramayana, an epic tale from Hindu mythology from the perspective of Mandodari, Ravan's wife. This shift in perspective allows us to take up the feminist concerns in the novel, like that of addressing the male gaze, discussing gender roles, and the silencing of women in a patriarchy. Following the journey of the protagonist provides insight into the gender stereotyping that takes place in a patriarchal setup and helps in analyzing the ways in which women are set up to be sacrificial figures. Commenting on the role of gender stereotypes in feminism, Nivedita Menon in her work Seeing Like a Feminist says, I quote, "Feminism is thus not about individual men and women, but about understanding the ways in which men and women are produced and inserted into patriarchies that differ according to time and place." Unquote. Discussing the gender stereotyping of Mandodari, we see that it begins at a young age when I will give an example of an incident from the novel where, as a child, she wants to join her brothers in activities like hunting, but her caretaker tells her, I quote, "Princesses don't go hunting, princesses are born to marry a handsome prince." Unquote. Such fixed rules take away the chance for people to choose their own paths and identities and aid in maintaining the power play between the two sexes. Discussing the concept of male gaze through the character of Ravana, we see that Ravan objectifies women and acts as an instrument of showcasing the male gaze that exists in patriarchal societies. In the text, we see that through marrying the daughters of the kings of various kingdoms, he uses that as a ploy to make political advancements, hence using women as a way to make transactions. An example of the way he objectifies women from the text is when he comes across a woman called Vedavati in a forest and starts to make sexual advances towards her despite the rejection he faces from her. This shows that he saw women as sexual conquests. Now, I would like to discuss the gender stereotypes that are displayed by the characters of Mandodari and Ravan. I would like to do this through discussing the example of how the characters of Mandodari and Ravan reacted to the infidelity of their respective partners in different ways. On the first hand, we have Mandodari, who knew that Ravan had several wives and concubines, and he had gone to the extent of making a separate palace to accommodate them. On knowing this, she decided to suffer quietly and did not express her feelings harshly. Instead, she speculated, I quote, "I still didn't know if I was supposed to respond like a queen, calm and collected, or if I could scream like an angry wife who had been betrayed." Unquote. On the other hand, in an incident when Mandodari pleads the case of a sage who wished to extend his stay at their palace for a few days until he finished his tapasya, Ravan's immediate response was to assume that she had an affair with him, and without confirming his doubts, he threw a fit of rage and killed the sage. This violent outburst showcases his insecurity and his inability to process his feelings calmly. The contrast in their reactions is noteworthy and acts as a reflection of the gender roles they portray. Coming on to Mandodari's portrayal as a sacrificial figure in the novel, through the text we see that she felt estranged from her paternal family and was isolated in her marriage. Yet she continued to play the stereotypical wife, being a caregiving, nurturing, guiding force for Ravan. We see her lose herself in an attempt to stay loyal to her sense of duty towards family, as she articulates this thought herself upon the wedding of her son Meghnath. I quote, "My life was neatly catalogued, first a daughter, then a wife and mother, and now a mother-in-law." Unquote. Then I would like to discuss Mandodari's role as a queen, discussing at the end of the novel, after the battle, when she loses her husband Ravan, it is decided that Ravan's younger brother Vibhishan will be crowned the king of Lanka, and she agrees to marry him despite knowing that it was his betrayal that cost them the war and caused the death of her husband. Yet she agrees to marry him because she thought it was needed to fulfill her role as the queen of Lanka. In this situation, she articulates her feelings as thus, I quote, "My marriage with Vibhishan was a political necessity. Thinking about Dashanan's many wives that I had envied and he had claimed to be political necessities made me laugh now. For the first time, I was a queen before I was a wife." Unquote. We see that Mandodari's life is shaped by patriarchy. Through following her journey in the novel, it is evident that she was caught up in fulfilling the roles of a daughter, a wife, a mother, and a queen. She failed to see her duty towards herself and made every choice on the basis of serving the people in her life. Through the novel, we get glimpses of her visits to her paternal home, and it is enough to assume and interpret that her return was frowned upon and her long-term presence was undesired after her marriage. This meant that she did not have any option other than to continue her life in Lanka, even if she wanted to leave. This shows that Mandodari is an example of a woman. Ma'am, I'm just concluding.
Can you wind up? Can you?
Yes, ma'am. These are just the last.
Brief stuff of your remaining parts, my dear.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just on the second last slide. This shows that Mandodari is an example of a woman trapped in her marriage. Nivedita Menon comments on the reason why Indian women find themselves helpless in situations where they need to walk away from an unhealthy marriage. I quote, "The three key interlinked features of this Indian family are patriarchy, power distributed along gender and age hierarchies, but with adult men trumping older women, patrilineal, property and name passing from father to son, and virilocality, wife moving to the husband's home. In this configuration, patrilineal virilocality is the key, isolating women from all previous support systems and leaving them entirely at the mercy of their husbands' families." Unquote. Coming to the conclusion, I would like to say that through shifting the perspective from the battle between the armies of Ram and Ravan to the life of Mandodari, the Queen of Lanka, this research paper has focused on discussing the treatment of women in a patriarchy and the intrinsic web of customs, traditions, and mannerisms that are employed to subjugate women in such a misogynistic setup of society. In conclusion, through the reading of the story and the understanding of the various methods employed in a patriarchy to keep women isolated and incapacitated to make their own life decisions or to look out for their own welfare, the pressing need to cover these gender gaps is highlighted through this paper and acts as a step in doing the same. Thank you.
Good, very good. Good presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Do you have any question for her? I want to ask one question, my dear.
Yes, ma'am.
What made you to choose this topic? Is
Ma'am,
it for MPhil or for PhD?
No, ma'am, it's for neither of them, but I thought it was interesting how the writer chose mythology as a way to sort of compare the current or the any patriarchal society through these mythological characters. And I found that quite interesting.
Good, good. And in a way, it is very innovative.
Thank you, ma'am.
All the ideas that you put forth about feminism, it's very unique and also innovative.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's up to you.
My dear
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Shikaka ma'am, there is a question for you. What significance does Mandodari possess in the novel?
I think Mandodari is a mouthpiece for the women living in those times or in that society. And one thing that I found quite interesting was, even though she was a princess and then a queen, we see how patriarchy shaped her life and affected her life decisions, which were shaped by the kind of surroundings she was raised in. And I think that's the significance of the character.
Very good, ma'am. Are you happy, Amit Kumar? Who is this? Who posted this question? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Kind of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm ready now, ma'am.
Can I call Dr. P. Charanya from SFA?
Yes, ma'am.
Charanya, are you ready, Charanya?
Ready, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Please present your paper. 5 minutes, my dear.
You are visible, Saranya. Saranya,
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
you are visible, ma'am.
Karanya, Assistant Professor of English, SFA College for Women, Sivakasi. My topic is signification in the novels of Helen Oley. I share my
Excuse me, ma'am. We are not able to see your screen, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, I will start. Is it visible, ma'am?
No, ma'am. Not yet. We will wait, ma'am. You take your own 5 minutes.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. My topic is chutnification in the novels of Helen Woimi. Helen Woimi is a Nigerian writer. Her full name is Helen Olajumoke Olni. She belongs to Yoruba community. She wrote 5 novels. The Icarus Girl, The Opposite House, White is for the Chin, Mr. Fox, Boys No Birds. So apart from these 5 novels, she wrote one short story collection, What is Not Worse is Not Worse, and also 2 dramas, Juniper's Whitening and Victimize. So due to the post-structuralist influence, there has been a tremendous change in the tendency of writers and the techniques of novels also. The narrative devices like chutnification have become common phenomena in the novels after 1980. So the technique chutnification is presented in postmodern novels. It begins in the novels of Helen Woimi. But the term chutnification, first coined by Salman Rushdie, chutney plus fication is equal to chutnification. It means the adaptation of Indian elements into the English language. So chutney is a noun form. By adding fication, Rushdie changes into an Indian word into an English one to stand transformation. In the analysis of chutnification in Woimi's novels, Woimi uses chutnification in her works by blending other languages into English. In Woimi's novels, chutnification means adaptation of Nigerian elements into the English language. So this technique provides an authentic African story. She has a skill in creating a realistic representation of African environment through chutnification. So the analysis of chutnification in Woimi's novels can be divided into the following categories. So let us see one by one. First, Yoruba Earth. So Woimi has chosen the colonizers of language to tell the story, but she sprinkles the Yoruba words throughout the novel. So peppering the Yoruba words in her novels creates a real Nigerian story. So few words that are presented in the novel The Opposite House. Apataki means stories. Nochibina means good night. Babylon means powerful man. So these 3 words are three are Yoruba words. Then Woimi named African names for her characters. Most of the novels of Woimi are set in London and Nigeria. Woimi's first novel, The Icarus Girl, takes place in London and Nigeria. Due to the mixed race, some characters have both English and Yoruba name. The protagonist has 2 names, Jasmine Harrison and Urilla, which means gold. So the protagonist's mother has Sarah Harrison and Adipisi. Adipisi means adding to the crown. So Urilla and Adipisi are African names. Then Woimi mentions the names of African gods and goddesses to show that how Nigerians are attached to the numerous gods and goddesses. So Woimi applies the names of gods and goddesses while portraying the myth and telling stories to children. For example, so these are the African gods. Ibich is the god of friends. Sango is the god of storm. Ea is the god of lightning. Olron is the father of God. That is sun god in Yoruba. Then Woimi applies the words of African dishes in her novels. Fufu is an African dish made by boiling and pounding starchy vegetables such as yam, cassava, and plantain. So aguardientes are strong alcoholic beverages made from distilled sugarcane. And the last one, apart from the Yoruba words, Woimi measures the Spanish language also in her novels. So the purpose of using Spanish language is that one character, that is protagonist father, Puppy, belongs to Spain. So most of the Spanish words are spoken by Puppy. He uses this language when he converses with his son. So in the novel opposite house, Oimi uses some Spanish words to mention few Spanish words that are El Eleno, that means dwarf, Florida, that means beloved, La Lucha is a struggle for life, Mi Dios is my God, No es justo, it is not fair, Pero por supuesto means of course. So I conclude that this technification technique acts as a tool to Oimi for incorporating her native language within her novels, which helps her to present the narrative extraordinarily. Through this narrative technique, she retains her tribal identity. Thank you, ma'am.
Good. This is the most interesting subject that we are teaching language through literature. And your author, she has combined the words from different languages, and you are giving and you are presenting it in such a way that it paves the way for the further research scholars to probe into this area. Any questions from the participants? Any question? Any question? Bharti ma'am, do you want to ask any question?
So the presentation was very nice, ma'am. It was very informative and impressive. The previous presenter was also very good. Saranya?
Is there any questions, ma'am?
As such now, we didn't get any questions from the participants. Can you explain your word that new to me, chutneyfication?
She has given.
Chutney is an Indian dish which is a fried and tangy, adding flavor to the main course of any main meal. So chutney is the noun form. By adding fication, roughly changes an Indian element into the English one, ma'am. To stand translation.
Given it that Salman Rushdie has introduced this.
She used this technique in his novel, The Midnight Children.
Oh, good, good. Very good. Can we call the next presenter, please?
Thank you, Saranya.
Thank you, thank you. Well done. Hats off. All the best. Bharti ma'am, please ask the next presenter.
Can I call upon Laila Nargis?
Jammu and Kashmir.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Laila?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Good morning, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please start. Please stick on to the timing, my dear.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Good morning, Laila.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay. Can you present your topic, ma?
Just a second, ma'am.
Okay. You take your own 5 minutes fully, ma'am. It's 9:25. Good.
Is it visible? My screen is visible?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
you are audible but not visible.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, I beg your pardon, ma'am. Bharati ma'am, our video is also not on.
Yeah.
Our video, ma'am?
No. Laila ma'am.
Her video is also not. We are not able to see you, Laila Nargis.
Laila? Laila, you are visible now. Carry on, carry on.
Okay,
You are
ma'am.
visible now. You present your screen now.
Yeah.
Good, good. Good.
Laila, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second.
Yeah. Can you share your screen, ma'am?
Ma'am, I'm trying.
Yeah, please. The next presenter is Sarita Agarwal, And I request all the participants, presenters to post your questions. In that case, we come to know that you are all very active and you are all listening. Can I get your response in chat box, participants?
Laila, is there any technical problem, my dear?
I think so, ma'am.
Can you start your presentation?
Yes.
Because someone can help you.
Okay, ma'am. I'll present it.
Thank you, Suganya. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all. The title of my paper is Shifting the Position of Women from Simplistic to Multidimensional, a study of Zadie Smith on beauty. Zadie Smith is a contemporary British novelist, essayist, and a short story writer. She is well known for her treatment of race, religion, gender, and cultural identity, and for her novels' eccentric characters. By publishing her debut novel, White Tea, she became a widely acclaimed writer and achieves a luminous status both in media and academic world. On Beauty, her third novel, published in the year 2005, further established Smith as one of the foremost British novelists of her day. The novel, heavily modeled on Ian Foster Howard's End, chronicles the lives of two families in the fictional town of Wellington. On Duty is full of thematic issues. In this novel, Smith clearly comments on academia, class, political views, sexuality. In the midst of all these things is the discussion of women, their roles in society, the expectations placed on them, and their self-doubts. Each of the women in this novel demonstrate aspects of these elements. It is inherent in society that women and men are entitled to certain positions of power. However, there appears to be a disconnect simply because females are not on equal standing with their male counterparts. It can be argued that there is a power gap in this social relation, and this gap must be challenged. Through this novel, Smith gave voice to the women who seem to only be in the shadows. The women are able to become independent of the men who dominate the society. Their experiences with interlocking oppression show how they continue to construct their own social identities within a multicultural environment. This paper analyzes the novel On Beauty through feministic perspective by assessing the characterization of Black women. The women in the novel defy their marginal positions and become a driving force for themselves. Women are revealed as multidimensional in the novel rather than simplistic, powerful rather than passive. Am I audible, ma'am? Hello?
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am. We are listening, ma'am. Please go ahead.
On Beauty explores the lives of Belsey family, the father Howard, a self-absorbed man, his long-suffering African-American wife Kiki, and their three children, Jerome, Zora, and Levi. All of the characters are struggling with the weight of expectation which society places on them. In fact, Smith is able to brilliantly explore dynamics of race and gender in modern day America without resorting to cliched or hackneyed characters. The relationship between Howard and Kiki forms the crux of the novel in many ways. Their relationship sums up the roles and expectations of men and women within modern Western patriarchal culture. Howard, who lurches from one infidelity to another, really thinks about how it affects Kiki, but instead is more concerned with how they affect himself. Will Kiki stop loving him? Kiki was hurt when he realizes that Howard has betrayed her with Claire. As is written in the novel, I quote, "A little white woman yelled Kiki across the room, unable now to control herself. A tiny little white woman I could fit in my pocket," unquote. As a Black woman in a white world and in a marriage with a white man she thought she could trust significantly, Kiki tells Howard of the ethnic composition of of the world she now inhabits at both the university and the hospital in which she works as an administrator, born to these environments very largely because of her commitment to their relationship. As is written in the novel, I quote, everywhere we go, I am alone in this sea of white. I barely know any black folk anymore, Howie. My whole life is white, unquote. She is being ludicrous with Howard, failing to see the blow to Kiki not only as his wife, but specifically as a Black woman in a white dominated society. Despite her hurt and anger, Kiki walks away. I quote, I'm not interested in your aesthetic theories. Save them for Claire. She loves them, unquote. In contrast to the emotional immaturity of most of the male characters, the female characters in the novel, such as Kiki or Caroline Kipps, displays an emotional maturity and the ability to put the needs of others ahead of themselves, which most of the characters lack in fact. The three emotionally strongest characters in the novel are probably the three Black female characters, Kiki, Caroline, and Victoria Kipps. All three are Black women trapped within the myriad of prejudices and expectations which society expects or demands from them. Yet all with varying degrees of success are overcome and triumph over these expectations. The most important and strongest character in the novel is Kiki. Zadie Smith portrayed the character of Kiki as a strong woman. She is a grand woman, overweight and grounded in family and love. She is a professional woman, a hospital administrator, and is connected to her husband's academic career at Wellington as well. Am I visible? Am I visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are visible.
Kiki is stronger than her husband. She is forgiving, compassionate, and knows when to say she has had enough. Kiki comes from southern Black roots. She is a big woman or has become one after 30 years of marriage. She is conscious of her weight, but not to the point that she truly worries about it. The second important character is Caroline Kipps. The other important women character is Caroline Kipps, the Caribbean British wife of the intellectual and professor Monty Kipps. She is an older woman described as very noble and often profound in her speech. She has a calming effect on all those around her. Caroline is slowly dying of cancer throughout the story, but refuses to tell any of those closest to her. She becomes friends with Kiki Belsi and gives the other woman a valuable painting after her death. The style that Zadie Smith adopted in the novel, the style that Smith uses to portray the female thought process is much more curving and not continuous.
Laila?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, can you wind up and you can give the remaining part in a brief manner? Can you brief it? It's time. Your screen is not visible. Video. Laila? Anita, ma'am?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm here. I'm here, ma'am.
Can we call the next presenter, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. I think she has some signal issue.
Sarita Agarwal.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Are you available? Yes, yes.
Good morning,
Can you start
ma'am.
your present? Good morning.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
A very good morning to the organizers of this Bodhi International Seminar and the chairpersons here. Really very happy to present my paper, and I'm presenting my slideshow now. And the topic of my paper is analyzing the family as a recuperative space in the shadow of dementia. And I quote, Alzheimer's takes someone you love twice. First, when it takes over the mind, and second, when their battle is finally over. Less leisure, I unquote. This paper certainly tries to understand the hitherto network of glorified Indian families through the paradigm of dementia, examine the strange space called home and its transformation into recuperative space, with the help of support system other than family members. So firstly, I would like to describe what dementia is. Dementia is a degenerative disease of brain which can either be on early onset or in the late years of life. And the symptoms include forgetfulness, disorientation, confusion, and memory loss and decline of cognitive abilities. Now, it affects each person differently, but general symptoms include communication difficulties and fluctuations in temperament. Now, Indian writers actually shied away from writing about dementia, but recent texts in English have discussed about the disease called dementia. And three important texts are Anuradha Roy's The Folded Earth in 2012, Ranjit Lal's Our Nana Was a Nutcase in 2015, and Pankaj Verma, Silver Haze in 2014. These texts talk about the disease called dementia. And here, the family becomes a narrative prism. In these literary texts, the family becomes a narrative prism, and it talks about the changing equations in the family. Now, dementia is not a disease of the patient itself, it is a total family trauma because the whole family suffers when the patient suffers from dementia or Alzheimer. For Diwan Saheb in Roy, Nana in Lal, Nana is a nutcase, and Kamla in Silver Hills, family setting is the space of manifestation of symptoms. Becomes a space in which the symptoms of dementia are manifested. Then the family members observe the patient. Yeah,
sorry for the interruption. Your screen is not visible. The first slide is visible.
Screen is not visible. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
One second, ma'am.
You are the second slide.
Second slide. Okay, ma'am. One second.
Yes, only the title is there.
Okay, ma'am. One second, ma'am. 1 second.
Farida ma'am, if you can like stop and start again. Yes, it's moving now.
It is visible.
Is it visible now?
Carry on.
Yeah. So now dementia, or otherwise called deadly disease Alzheimer, it is a family trauma. Not only the patient suffer from this disease, because a patient suffers from heart disease, only the patient suffers from that disease. But here the dementia is when the person is suffered from dementia or Alzheimer, the whole family suffers. The dementia has moved to the ethical realms to the maximum extent possible, which no disease has moved, not only in India, in abroad also. So here, when we are talking about literary text in the Indian literature, Diwan Sahib in Roy, Nana in Nutcase, Lal, written by Ranjit Lal, and Kamala written by Kamala in Silver Haze, written by Pankaj Verma, the family becomes a space of manifestation of symptoms of dementia. And in Our Nana Was a Nutcase, two young children find the forgetfulness of Nana amusing and exploit it to their benefit. In Silver Haze, the web of relationships woven around the family becomes strained. Kamala's paranoia, the protagonist, the heroine of the novel, the paranoia becomes a source of anxiety and embarrassment to the younger members of the family. And the folded earth, Diwan Sahib's, otherwise a very meticulous and methodical person, the network of relationship, uh, uh, take the network of relationship he has woven around his life, become his caretaker rather than family members. So when we analyze Diwan Sahib, his real name is Suraj Singh, in the folded earth through Maya, who rents the Diwan's cottage and befriends him, we find that Diwan Sahib, a meticulous man, suffers from dementia in the late years of his life, becomes aloof and tries to sleep all the time on his bed. He is a man who was used to being in control and always fierce, independent, is softened upon this arrival of his newly found relative Veer, who is his in turn turns out to be his illegitimate child towards the end of the novel. Nana's progressive dementia is his confusion, disorientation, and forgetfulness. In our Nana was a nutcase. Nana, who was never late in dropping children at school, forgets the road, asks the younger children to navigate. This is the first sign of dementia in him. He would lose his way, take the bumpy, narrow, dead-end roads, tracks, insisting it was shortcut, and reversing all the way back because he gets confused. He pays his servants or helpers, Nira Mirabais, twice their salary because he forgets whether he has paid them or not. And he buys sweets for the mischievous twins, dangling and dumpling twice. जैसे there is a dialogue in the novel कि साहब ने फिर पगार दे दिया, साहब भूल गए और साहब ने फिर पगार दे दिया. So in Silver Haze also we find Kamala, otherwise a very domestic lady. She loses control of her house. She loses all the web and all the uh, 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 we find that there is a slow and steady decline in the mental ability of Kamala, and she believes that her servants are stealing the sweets, which might be only her confusion. Then dementia also is a cause of loss of personhood because a person loses respect, trust, and sense of recognition once he or she suffers from dementia. They become the heightened vulnerability, cause of heightened vulnerability in the families, and they serve as instruments of negligence and exploitation. Now, Nana's daughter wants to send Nana to old age home. Maybe the old age home is air conditioned with a pool or spa, but Nana wouldn't get the warmth of the family members. Kamala Kamala is being taken care of by her children, but she becomes a source of negligence and exploitation. In Diwan Sahib also complains about his illegitimate son who has not even come to see his father. So Nana can no longer entertain the grandchildren. Kamla can no longer function with any degree of efficiency, and Diwan Sahib, already disillusioned with his family members, with his illegitimate child, wants to get closed in a room. So trauma of an individual's dementia is a family trauma. The process of memory loss is also associated with the erosion of family relationship. The loss is not only merely psychological, but also emotional, and also network of family begins to collapse. There is no longer.
Sarita, sorry
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
interruption. Can you brief your remaining part, my dear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Surely, ma'am.
It's time.
2 minutes, ma'am. So here in the concluding remark, I would like to say that the atmosphere of home becomes unsettling due to onset of dementia, but gets resettled with the support system of servants, neighbors, other than blood relations also. So a different set of social relations is bound to happen with the dementia patient when the difference between family and stranger blurs. The home space gets transformed into recuperative space. The Indian novels here point to the fractured homes, the instability at homes, and certainly that looms over the previously secured family. These novels are addressing the hitherto glorified Indian family in recent public discourses. So with this, I conclude here, ma'am.
Yes, good.
Sarita?
Thank you very much, ma'am.
The presentation was very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we came to know the trauma.
Hello, your voice is not audible. One second, ma'am. Hello, your voice is not audible.
We came to know very well the trauma of the family and the
Yes,
families that we all have in Indian families as well as in abroad. And we thank you for presenting the paper. Very informative, ma. All the best.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for giving us me the opportunity.
We didn't get any questions from participants' part, and Okay. And your part is good. And you did well, ma.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Okay. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
All the best. Okay. Thank you, ma.
Thanks.
All the best. Good luck.
Thank you.
Participant, Sharada. Sharada is here.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Sharada, before, please wait for a minute. And I want to welcome the SFR college students. Many students are attending this international conference, and in the YouTube I could have I can see many students. Hats off to you, SFR students, Sivakasi. I'm very happy and very cheerful to see you. And during on Sunday, you are all very interactive and very active. And your ma'am has presented, it seems, Saranya ma'am, isn't it? Students, she did well, and we hope that you all will be attending the full session. Thank you. Thank you. And over to Sharada.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I will be sharing my screen now.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. 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 Today's my paper's name is Anger's Insights and Spirituality in Hindu Culture among Undergraduate Degree Students. Okay. I would like to start with something from the Gita in Sanskrit. Okay. Dhyatu Vishyam Pumsa Sanchas Tishu Pate Sangat Sanjayate Kamat Kamat Krodo Bhijyati.
Sorry, ma'am. Sharada, ma'am. Can you broaden the screen? It is not clear, ma'am. Your screen is not clear, but it is visible. The letters are not clear. It's too tiny to read by the participants. Yes, somewhat better.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Please align it suitable to the screen.
Yes. Okay, so I will be starting. So, Dhyatu Vishyam Pumsa Sanjas Tishu Pate Samyat Sanjayate Kamat Kamat Krodo Bijyate. So this means that attachment causes desire, and from desire it causes anger. So Krishna says in the Gita that in order to control anger, we must get rid of desires. And we are not the emotion. We are not the emotion, and we have the ability to have control over our emotion, and we have the ability to act logically, and we can replace negative emotion with positive emotions. So this is very apt for teachers, because teachers can play a role as a counselor in identifying students who have mental health issues, who have been displaying difficulty in academics, and giving them proper counseling and interventions, and making them better. So it is very apt in the COVID times also, when we have to switch to the offline mode. So children might display mental health issues or like that. Okay, can you hear me, ma'am? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, pa.
You are audible.
Yes. Okay. So so in culture, people who believe in fasting or sevas, or they believe that it helps in healing, and also spirituality helps in development of personality and improvement in work and home. Like spirituality is nothing but self-regulation. It is nothing but self-regulation. It is spirituality is nothing but a coping mechanism. It is nothing but a coping mechanism. Okay. I go to the next slide. Okay, problem statement. So here there is a need to study among students insights of anger. So methodology. So comparative method and convenient sampling are used because they're quick, and the t-test is used, the student t-test. So objective is to look into the insights of anger among students and their spirituality among undergraduate students. So spirituality here, we're talking about people
Jaratha,
believing. Yes.
Jaratha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you brief it, my dear? We have to stick on time.
Yes. Yes. Spirituality here is nothing but people believing in presence of God. People feeling thankful for their blessings. And it is nothing. It's not only limited to religion. People believing the outcome of the study is nothing but having faith in a belief system. So the hypothesis is there is a significant difference in anger and spirituality between the two groups. So the variables, as the heading suggests, is anger, spirituality, and undergraduates. Okay, so spirituality is nothing but qualities which are religious in nature, and anger can be defined as feelings of being annoyed. Okay, so the literature states that so there is a correlation in between anger. There is a correlation between spirituality and anger. There is a correlation between spirituality and anger. Okay. So tools is the daily spiritual experience scale and the anger questioning.
Jaratha, can you please brief your paper, please?
Yes, sure. So the
short of
results
time.
suggested that there was a higher spirituality among second-year undergraduate students because of their maturity and looking to some greater power to overcome their difficulties in academics. And also there was higher scores of anger insights among second-year undergraduates. This may be due to certain troubled experiences at home and greater exposure in life. So further research can look into causes of anger, interventions, and how we can help students in identifying their problems, the effects of anger on reading, writing, and the spiritual experiences of students. So it's short time span. We can look into intervention of anger and also the male and female differences. So spirituality can go a long way in improving mental health. And I would also like to conclude by saying that as teachers, we can be mindful. We can use mindfulness in helping the students cope after post-COVID times. In students must become aware of their behavior and what they're doing, how they're doing, and also yoga also is a method of practicing mindfulness. Yoga is also a method of practicing mindfulness. So this is nothing but spirituality. It's nothing but spirituality. So to quote, I'm never in control of what happens around me, but I'm in control of what happens within me. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sharda, a good presentation as of now. No questions for you. Can we switch on to the next participant? Chandur Priya. Chandur Priya, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Please start your presentation. I'll give you 3 minutes, my dear. Please.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
Sindur, please start your presentation, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Your screen.
Ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Yes, not yet, ma'am. Ah, yes.
Yes, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am.
So I'll give you 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
To understand this. Yes. Come on.
Ma'am, my voice is audible, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes.
Everything is okay. Please carry on.
Yes. Ma'am, good morning to everyone. In this conference, I'm going to present my paper on the topic exploration of paradigm shift between first and second generation in the works of Jhumpa Lahiri. One second. My work belongs to Indian writing, so which is 1.5 century old, and it recaptured the multicultural and multilingual society. Its comments were the works of writers like R.T. Narayan, Mulkraj Anand, and Raja Rao, who contributed to Indian fiction during the time 1930s. And it also combined with the works of Indian diaspora, such as V.S. Nepal, Kiran Desai, Jhumpa Lahiri, Aga Sagat Ali, and Salman Rushdie, who are of Indian descent. And move on to the author, Jhumpa Lahiri. She is an Indian-American author. She is the author of Interpreter of Melodies, The Namesake, Unaccustomed Earth, and Lowland. And she is the Pulitzer Prize winner for fiction. And in her work, she mostly reveals emotional imbalance and relationship among father and mother, husband and spouse, siblings, and the determination of identity in general. And in her work, she mostly speaks about acculturation and contra-acculturation that is experienced by the immigrants. Okay, so next one. She also expressed the feeling of nostalgia, alienation, uprootedness, that is strongly felt by the first generation immigrants. So first generation basically follows the tradition of India, but the second generation follows the lifestyle of America. She shows how second generation make themselves easily adapt into the host country through her works, but at the same time, she clearly exposes the change of mindset between the first and second generation. We move on to the novel of Jhumpa Lahiri. Her novel is Namesake. It was published during the year 2003. So it deals with the issues like identity crisis, assimilations, and adaptations faced by the immigrants. So in this novel, she...
Yeah, sorry for the interruption.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Can you brief your paper?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Priya.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
You need not read the slides one by one.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Give the concept of your paper.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So in this novel, she mostly describes about the two generations, that is Ashok and Ashima. They belongs to the first generation, and the children Gokul and Sonia, they belongs to the second generation. So this story describes the clashes that happens between the parents and the children. So the main reason for the clashes is that their culture, that is the one of the main reason, because Ashok and Ashima, they strongly attach them with the Indian culture, but the children Gokul attach him with the American culture. He is more comfortable to follow the foreign lifestyle than with the culture that is followed by their parents. So this is a major reason for the clashes that happened in the novel. So Lahiri clearly exposes all those changes in the story. So overall, it is a story of different attitudes, outlooks, and the directionality happened among the two generations exposed by the author. And then the next work, Unaccustomed Earth. So it was published during the year 2008. It is a collection of 8 short stories done by the author Jhumpa Lahiri. So it mostly deals with the themes like marital issues, parenthood, guilt, and domination and the controllability of women in the families is explored by the author. And she also explained about how the Bengali American characters face the difficulties when they are migrated to America, and how they feel struggle with the mixed cultural environment is exposed in the collection. And those characters or struggle with the issues of doubt and uncertainties. The main reason for that, they cannot completely connect them with the American culture because they are from the Indian background. This is the main reason for the doubt and uncertainties. Lahiri beautifully expresses the emotional turmoil that is happening inside the individual life, as well as the feeling of insecurity. So this leads to the alienation and loneliness of the characters in the time of cultural and social shift. They cannot easily adapt themselves into it. So overall, this is a story of lovely one, and it is a blend of a cultural as well as the individual life. This overall story explains the difficulties, what are the difficulties faced by the first generation as well as by the second generation. And we move to the conclusion. So I'm going to conclude that first generation strongly tie them with the native culture because they attach with the native culture. So that is the main reason for not transferring themselves completely to the American culture. But they change themselves, but they change their mindset only for the improvement of their children, because they want to place their children in the good universities to attain success in their life. So they change their mind for the sake of their children. But the second generation never find any difficulties that is faced by their parents, because they are born and brought up in America. So they never feel any such kinds of difficulties over there. But instead of that, they suffer between the two worlds. Second generation suffer between two worlds. What is the main reason for that? They are suffered by the racial discrimination in America. They never consider as Indian nor as American. So they are struggling between the two worlds. But their parents, they are struggling strongly because they connected with the Indian culture. But the second generation, they never feel any struggle, even though they cannot mingle themselves completely with American culture because the background of their native culture. So overall, I make to conclude by making a differentiation between the first generation as well as the second generation. First generation seems more dynamic and feels exilic, but they are worrying about economical stability of how they survive in a new environment, in a new background, in a new culture like America. But the second generation, they feel more exilic, but there is no economical difficulties faced by the second generation, but only difficulty they face that cultural identity. So they continuously quest for the identity in the American country.
Conclude, my dear.
Yes, ma'am. This is my conclusion, ma'am. This is my conclusion.
Yes, we know that this is your conclusion. Can you please come to an end?
Ma'am, by concluding the end is that both the generation, they're making some strategies, some kind of technology by changing some kind of techniques, some strategies they may use in order to adapt themselves to the American background.
Good, very good, very good.
Yes.
As of now, we don't have any questions. Can we see the next participant?
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senthil Priya.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Can I have the next participant? Taikikas. What is P?
Taikikas.
Next participant. A research scholar from Virudhunagar. Are you ready? Participant number 7. Can we call the next one? Haripriya? Haripriya?
Yes, ma'am.
Haripriya?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to see
I'm
you.
sharing this.
Please take 5 minutes, my dear. Please stick on to the time.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me the opportunity to present my paper. Today, I'm going to, ma'am, my voice is audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible, but your screen is not visible.
Not visible, ma'am?
You are from Chairpersons.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Is
Carry
it
on,
ma'am?
Yes, carry on, my dear.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Is it visible now, ma'am? PPT?
Your screen is not visible. You are visible. You can start the presentation.
Just a second, ma'am. I tried to present my PPT.
Can I call the next presenter then?
Ma'am, without PPT, shall I do my presentation, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Today I'm going to present my paper on the topic, an overview of challenges of online classes. For this topic, I have set the two objectives. One is identify the etiquettes to be followed in the online classes. And next one is to identify the challenges faced in the online classes. For this paper, I have taken up 7 review articles based on the technicality of online classes, and based on this data, I have explored the theme of the challenges of online classes for this paper presentation. The whole world is facing the pandemic situation, so that even it's impacted in the education institution also. So far in Indian scenario, the virtual learning is it's not adaptable one, but today in education institution adapt a virtual learning. It forces the teachers to handle the ICT tools for teaching purposes. For online teaching, some of the tools are used for as a platform for online classes, like Zoom app, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams. Teaching only is not enough for online classes. For that, we have to make the students interactive and active. For that, the assessment tools are used. Some of the assessment tools, that is apps like email, Google Classroom, WhatsApp, also used for students' assessment and their understanding. And I would like to give some of the online etiquettes to be followed in online classes, that is in virtual classes. First, as a teacher, we have to encourage the integrated learning process, not just to adapt the traditional learning things like face-to-face teaching mode alone. Instead of that, we can adapt some of interactive, that is question-based or question-based classes, or we can give the instant quick quiz, something like that. So this makes the student interactive and as well as active in the classes. And we also have that is, as a teacher should have a continuous assessment for the student performance. Without the accessing the student understanding, we can't that is, the teachers can't understand the understanding level of the students. So we should give a continuous assessment for the students, the way of giving some activities. And one more things we have to get from that is, we have to be followed in the online classes, that is, we have to get the feedback from the participants. Just by giving that is one-way teaching, we can also get the feedback from the students, and that things can be implemented in the online classes. And what are the main that is challenges faced in the online classes in India are the technical slack. That is, most of the place, not only in the village areas, that is rural areas, even in the city area, we have most of the technical problems, technical snacks like network connectivity and so many gadgets problem on also this. And apart from this, we have the main problem is psychological problem of the students. In virtual, that is the virtual learning process. It makes the student be sit at one place. It makes the students ideal and act, and as well as they become mentally tormented because of stick on to the closed room, the closed environment. It will not give a social interaction to the other students. I would like to conclude my paper on saying that online mode is only an encouraging tool right now, that is the pandemic situation alone. It is only the left option for this pandemic situation. But even in teaching, that is even in the classrooms, we can make use of this online, that is online mode, in the partial way. by making the student active and also learn some of the technical things, on the technicality of the modern era. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. As of now, we don't have any questions here in the chat box. Can we switch on to the next participant?
Haripriya, you were good at your presentation, ma'am. It was very nice and informative. But we are not able to see your screen and your effort that you have put your slides, isn't it? We are not able to see your slides. Next time you try your level best, ma'am. Along with the slides, you can present your paper. Okay.
The next participant, Sivanandana, are you ready? Sivanandana, I think she is a student from SFR.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you ready, Sivanandana?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible, my
Yes,
dear.
ma'am, I'm ready, ma'am.
You share your screen now.
Yes, ma'am, shall I start?
You take
Yes,
1 to
ma'am.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Good, good. Share your screen.
Ma'am, is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, visible.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. A very fine morning to everyone present here. I am Ms. Shivanandana, doing my undergraduation in the Standard Fireworks Rajaratnam College for Women, Sivakasi. So, the topic that I have chosen for my paper presentation is Ulysses, the adventurous hero, a study of Tennyson's Ulysses. So, this poem, Ulysses, is written by Alfred Lord Tennyson, one of the greatest Victorian poets. He is the poet laureate of Victorian England who has succeeded William Wordsworth. Actually, William J. Long just made him to speak as he is the representative poet of the great Victorian era. And also, this Alfred Lord Tennyson is known for usage of musical words, and his eclectic style is known to attract everyone around him. Also, most of his poems and other works are blended with scientific accuracy along with poetic sensibility. Nature also has an important part in all his poems. He is a great poetic exponent of Victorian liberalism too. Though he is an aristocratic, he just wanted to be a democrat, and he just posted all his views about democracy too in his works. Some of his famous works are In Memoriam, The Lotus Eaters, The Idols of Kings, The Lady of Shalott, The Princess, and Tithonus. Our poem Ulysses has its theme, which has a theme of conquering or overcoming a situation that threatens to put a person down. So, through this poem, Tennyson wants to tell that a person must be able to overcome a situation, whatever it may be. This poem was written in 1833, and at that time, Tennyson's friend Arthur Hallam has died. And so after that, he didn't write many of his poems and he didn't publish any works. And only after 9 years, he just published his work Ulysses along with some of his other poems in a collection of poetry. And this poem is a dramatic monologue where the speech is addressed to a passive listener whose reaction is hinted by the active speaker in the course of the speech. There is one active speaker who is addressing a speech to many of the passive listeners. There will be no response from the listener, but he'll be going on telling about his views and he'll be sharing his views. Ulysses is a poem comprising 70 lines filled with blank verse. There will not be particular rhyming scheme or many of the rhyming words will not be found here because all the 70 lines are almost filled with blank verse. So, who is this Ulysses? He is a great Greek legend. He'll be called as Odysseus also. And he's a great king of Ithaca. Ithaca is a place, it's a small island in the Ionian Sea. Also, Ulysses' wife name is Penelope and his son is Telemachus. He had only one son. His beloved son was Telemachus. Also,
Sivapriya, sorry for the interruption. What's the message you want to convey? Please brief.
The crux of your paper.
Ma'am, actually I want to say that Ulysses is a great adventurous hero and About the last line, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. That gives a great message to all the people, not only in
Good, very,
Victorian,
very,
also to the people.
very nice, nicely done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can we shift on to the next participant? We are short of time now.
Okay, ma'am. Then shall I wind up it, ma'am?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, ma'am.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you for your patience, ma'am. Good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Next participant.
Can we have the next presenter?
Suganya.
Mrs. A. Suganya.
Yes, Suganya. Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Yes, ma'am, I'm here, ma'am.
Yeah, you
Shall I
please
present
start
the screen?
and you finish it within 3 minutes, my dear.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Shall I present the screen?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Is it visible, ma'am? Is it visible, ma'am?
Ma'am, your face is visible, but your screen is not visible, ma'am.
Just a minute.
Yeah. I could see you, ma'am.
Ma'am, presentation is visible, ma'am?
No.
I'm sharing again.
You can start your presentation. If not the script,
okay, ma'am.
You can start your presentation. You can give the concept in 3 minutes.
Okay, ma'am. So, thank you for giving this opportunity.
Yes.
There is
okay,
a message, your network bandwidth is low. We got one message from you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, ma'am. Without presentation, ma'am, I have the presentation now, ma'am.
Yes,
but I'm not able to give. Okay. So my topic is gender inequality in Mahesh Dattani's Tara. So here, Mahesh Dattani wants to tell about conjoined twins. He just wants to share the preference of male child in our Indian family. He just wants to share with these things through this play. And Mahesh Dattani to act play. He tells the story of two conjoined twins. Name is Chandan and Tara. Tara name is called Twinkling Stars, but she's not able to twinkle, okay, because of her family members. Even in fact, her mother is the main reason why she's not able to twinkle because of the patriarchal society, and who are surgically separated in an unequal manner intended to favor the boy. Okay, so gender inequality in Mahesh Dattani's Tara is my topic. In this study, is a girl who wants to twinkle and shine just like her name, but like Mahesh Dattani has given just gender identity discrimination, middle class revelation, etc. Ma'am, am I audible? Am I audible, ma'am? Shall I continue? Okay, so giving preference to the male child, yes, the twins, especially Tara, are repeatedly referred to as freaks. The term freaks means it is physically abnormal. Okay, girls are usually, abnormalities, physically handicapped, has been conventionally used the term freak. Okay, to person who has something unusual regarding their appearance or behavior. The older usage of freak refers to the state of being physically deformed or characterized by rare disease and condition. So here, inequality, he says that it depicts the discrimination between boy and girl. So it happens today in Indian family. So all the privileges goes to only a boy child. Okay, so they are not preferring a girl child. Okay, and against women, which starts from the womb of mother. Right, the incidents of female feticide are common in our society. Here family plays an important role. Family plays an important role in Mahesh Dattani's plays. Most of the families in his plays are typical Indian middle classes. And it focuses, in my topic, in my study, it focuses on the discriminations about the boy child. Chandan. Okay, so they are Siamese twins, three-legged twins. The leg head joined in the hip. Okay, so the leg is favored to only the girl, but her family members decided to cut the leg into her boy because he is going to get the good name from to his family. So that is why he just want to live, survive. So girl, she's a girl. She doesn't want to have that. She'll be handicapped like that. Her mother decided due to the force of her husband. Okay.
Suganya,
Yes, ma'am.
can you give a brief note of your
Okay, I conclude these lines, ma'am. Here, women are not made to think or decide, but are made to submit to the wishes of man. Man can be a father, husband, brother, and whoever he is. At the end, they have an identity, but a mother, a wife, a sister, and a daughter at last turn out to be only women, submitting to their wills and losing their own identity. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving such a nice opportunity.
Can I call upon the next participant, Kanakapriya?
Thank you, Suganya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kanakapriya, are you on the line, please? Kanakapriya. Kanakapriya, are you ready? Okay, can I call Dr. KARTHIKA Devi?
Kanakapriya.
Kanyakumari is ma'am is there, ma'am, but there's no response.
She couldn't be connected. Okay,
Yes.
can I call upon the next participant, KARTHIKA Devi? KARTHIKA Devi.
Kanakapriya.
Kanakapriya, you have come? You unmute.
Karthika Devi, ma'am, you're there?
Kanakapriya, can you raise your volume, ma?
Ma'am, Karthika Devi, ma'am, is ready, ma'am.
Yes, she can start her presentation. Karthika Devi, Dr. Karthika Devi. Can you unmute yourself?
Ma'am, your volume is not there, ma'am. Can you please plug in your headset, ma'am?
Is it okay now?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, good morning, everybody. I can understand the want of time, so I'm just going to keep it extremely brief. So my paper is basically to highlight the work of Manohar Devadas, a Padma Shri awardee who won it just this year. And the title is A Poem to Courage. It's not a poem, it's a novel. It's a novel about his marital life. Why I wanted to highlight this story, and it's my honest expectation that it has to be prescribed to students studying English literature. Reason number one, it is from A Son of a Soil. The author is from Madurai, and he is a living author. And this story highlights the true essence of marital life. Soon after his happy marriage to his wife Mahima, this person who is an artist, who is a painter, develops an eye problem which leads to loss of vision, who becomes his eyes and helps him to come out with such beautiful pencil sketches which ultimately won him the Padma Shri award. And 9 years after their marriage, his beautiful wife meets up with a car accident and becomes a quadriplegic patient, which means she cannot move herself. Even if she has to turn herself in her bed, she needs support. So that the husband becomes her support. So this way, they have lived their life till 2008 until the unexpected demise of his wife. So this person is very much here, living here in Chennai. So, but we do not talk about, these personalities. And what is special about this couple is that together, through all hardships, against all odds, against all physical deformities, they supported one another. And I think that is the true essence of marriage. Not about, it's not a bed of roses. That's the impression that media has given us. It's not about love that leads to marriage. It's about the love that has to exist after marriage. So this is what I wanted to highlight through my paper today. and I think the time was 3 minutes, and I think finish it off in 2 minutes. So for 1 more minute, you can ask me any question, and I have a slide with all his pencil sketches for students today. If you cannot follow my slide, just go to Google search, type Manohar Das paintings, and Manohar Devadas is basically a student of American College, and the college recognized his first painting. It was published as the cover of their college magazine. So students take all your college magazines seriously. That is how he started with his first painting being published in his college magazine as a cover page, and now he's a Padma Shri awardee. So do not ignore any opportunity that comes your way. So this is what I want to tell to all the students here who are here even on a Sunday listening to these paper presentations. Thank you. I think I've done justice to the writer, to the conference committee, and to my students too.
Thank you, Karthika Devi. Karthika Devi ma'am, it was very nice. And once again, I thank your college students, SFR students, many students are attending. Convey our both of our regards to them, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure, madam. Sure, madam. This is definitely.
Are you ready, Kanyakumari?
Madam.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you start the presentation, my dear.
Okay, ma'am.
Can you give us the gist of your paper?
Yeah, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. So my paper presentation is on the topic marriage myth and superstitious belief in B.J. Mister's The Bride Price. B.J. Mister is one of the most prominent African female novelists who has created unforgettable female characters in most of her novels. Here in this novel, The Bride Price, B.J. Mister, she tries to bring out how the myth, superstitious belief, customs, tradition, culture, rituals, rites, and whatever thing, okay, it has spoiled the entire life of the protagonist, Akuna, in this novel. So Akuna, the name of the Akuna means father's wealth. As per the meaning of the word, she enjoyed the happiness and freedom completely in her father's house. But unfortunately, her father died and her family members moved from Lagos to Ibusa. So after her movement from Lagos to Ibusa, in Ibusa, she faced lot of troubles, and she suffered because of the traditions followed by the Igbo people. It was very new to her to adapt all the tradition and customs and traditions, rituals followed by the Igbo people. Only because of the traditions, superstitious belief, myth, she suffered a lot in her life. Even she died at the end of the novel. Actually, Akuna, she is a very young girl. She's yeah, ma'am.
Sorry for the interruption.
Yes, ma'am.
Your point of view, or what's the message that you want to convey through your study of this novel?
Okay. Actually, the title of the novel is The Bride Price. The author here has given the title is very apt and appropriate. Akuna, the protagonist, died because she didn't pay because the bridegroom they didn't pay the bride price. Only because of that she died. The people, they believe that only because of that she died. Actually, she is 14 years old girl. She is not able to bear the labor pain, so she died. But the people in Igbo, they believe, they have a idiotic superstitious belief that she died only because she is not paid any bride price. So I would like to conclude means, I don't know when it's going to, all this shit's going to end. Why the people are strictly following the customs, cultures, and everything which are created by the male in this male-dominated world.
Good, very good.
Thank you,
Kanyakumari. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
The last participant number 7, Taikikas. Are you ready? There is a caller from Virudhunagar.
No, ma'am. I don't think so. He's in, ma'am. He's not.
No. And one more participant, our Priyanka Bala, recently included. Priyanka Bala, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Please give me a minute, ma'am.
Are you ready? The last.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please give me 5 minutes, ma'am? I'll be ready.
No. You are the last participant.
Ma'am, just 2 minutes, ma'am. I'm trying to open my slide. Please hold on, ma'am.
Okay.
Taikikas
is not ready, or he is not available. Anita?
He's not online, ma'am. He's not online.
Okay, then can we make him absent then?
Yes, ma'am. I don't think so. He's in the participation list. I mean, he has not joined.
I think he has sent some messages that he has some technical problem. You please verify with him.
technical issues. Yes.
Priyanka, are you ready, Priyanka? Can you present?
Yes, ma'am. Am I visible, ma'am?
Yes, yes. You can
Yes, ma'am. I tried to share my screen, but I'm not able to. Can I proceed with the
yeah, Priyanka Bala.
presentation? Yes, ma'am. So very good morning to every one of you. Thank you, ma'am, for joining me in this session. And here I am to present with a paper where challenges in acquiring listening and speaking skills among the newly recruited corporate engineers. So among the 4 skills, ma'am, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, according to me, listening and speaking skills are the 2 skills which any scholar should acquire, especially in the corporate sector, and is one of the challenging skills that anyone should acquire. So English as a second language in higher education is in its functional design for making listening and speaking skills in the corporate sector is a challenging one. So this is a modest attempt. So this presentation is a modest attempt to analyze the need for academic accommodating such essential skills of listening and speaking with the real interest of using the language as appropriate to the work culture in the corporate domain. So effective communication is the need of modern academic and corporate domain, and English, the lingua franca, has become the most accepted universal medium of interaction in academic, corporate, and digital world. So the challenges encountered by the newly recruited students from engineering institutions as freshers in the corporate world through the campus interview especially. So they get selected by the multinational IT companies, and when they get recruited into, and when they step into the campus interview, the one skill that you're looking forward will be the listening skills and the speaking skills, because there is a more of interaction between the customers that you have to deal with in multinational companies. So if
Priyanka Bala.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Can you wind up? Can you give us the crux of the paper? What you come to say?
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. So there are innovative ways to develop listening and speaking skills. Though the student or the the candidate who steps into the campus interview is very much skilled in academic level, but if he is not really if he's not acquiring with the listening skills and speaking skills, which I think is very much essential for a corporate person to interact with the customers, if he's lacking with listening and speaking skills, he's not going to win the game.
So Priyanka Bala, are you stressing that the LSRW is more important for the students for placement?
Yes, ma'am, definitely, because it's more of the subject knowledge that you acquire definitely to sustain in the corporate domain, but it's more of the listening and speaking skills. And of course, you need to have the writing skills and the reading skills to, sustain and, to have an, a knowledge about the work that you're doing. But it's more of the, interaction that you should have to the customers. So you should acquire listening and speaking skills. So if the candidate is not really skilled with the listening and speaking skills, he's not going to be recruited, which I think is very essential.
Very good, Priyanka Bala. A good effort you have taken towards placement for engineering students as well as academics. Okay. Good, Priyanka Bala. Can we wind up?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for your presentation, Priyanka Bala. Good.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's been a pleasure making this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anita, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. Can we wind up the show?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Jayanti, ma'am, and thank you, Bharati, ma'am.
Can we call him this boy?
Ma'am,
not be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's online, ma'am. Like we tried calling him, but he's not attending the call.
And one more thing is,
Ma'am, still many presenters are there, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, sir.
But their names are not in the slot, ma'am. That you have.
No, ma'am. We have the next chairpersons ready, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Kind of you, ma'am. Kind of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for.
Good day. Good day.
Yes,
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Shall we leave, ma'am?
Ma'am?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Good morning again. For the session, Professor, Department of English, Women's Christian College, Nagercoil. Ma'am, welcome, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Karthika, ma'am, your video, ma'am, is not there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
So, shall we have the first presenter here?
Yes, ma'am. They're ready, ma'am.
Okay. So you can understand, for want of time and for want of brevity also, we expect you to try to deliver the crux of your paper. We understand so much work has gone in, but still we need to wind up a little earlier. So we request Dr. K. Kalayarasi, Assistant Professor of English, Pioneer Kumaraswamy College, Nagercoil, to present her paper.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Am I audible? Okay, ma'am. Actually, first, I want to thank the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity to present my paper. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen, ma'am. Okay. Thanks. So you can view my screen, isn't it, ma'am? You can view my screen, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. We can. Please continue.
Okay. So, good morning. And today I'm going to present my paper entitled The Agony of Diasporas, a study in Bharati Mukherjee's novel. And in our society, there are so many issues are prevailing, and the most important issue is the cultural conflict. And due to the cultural conflict, there are a lot of changes is happening, and changes in dress, food habits, celebration of festival, language, traditional belief. There are so many cultural conflicts are happening, and even though there are so many reasons for all these cultural conflict, I think that the root cause for all these things is diaspora. So I have taken the Bharati Mukherjee for my study. So she was a reputed writer, and in her writings, she has focused the diaspora, and she won the National Books Critics Award also. And she has written 8 novels and 2 short story collections and non-fiction prose. Like that, she has touched all the fields. And next, the issues. What are the issues she has? The stages she has focused: repatriation, immigration, and transfer. So the geographical movement from one country to another country is known as diasporas, moving from one country. And the expatriates means they are the unenthusiastic participants in the new culture, and they give importance to the native country, and they want to live in a foreign country. And even though the expatriates, immigrants, and transnationalists, the immigrants, and all the 3 people for undergone problems like nostalgia, racial discrimination, identity crisis, like that they too. Can I? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Please continue, ma'am.
Okay.
Is there any interruption there?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So Tara is expatriate, and she is an Indian, and she goes to United States for education, and her roommates were not Indians, so she couldn't share her feelings to the roommates, and if she shared means also they can't understand her inner feelings. So she felt very lonely, and the feeling of nostalgia overpowers her, and she undergoes homesickness, and she feels herself as an outsider. So like that, the Bharti Mukherjee has focused so many things in her novels, and the sufferings of the immigrants, expatriates, and transnationalists. And the immigrants, the main difference, what is the difference means the expatriates are willingly, they are going to that host land, but they didn't accept the host land culture. And the immigrants, they too are willing to go to the host land, and after that they are trying to assimilate. And the transnationals, they give equal importance to the homeland and host land. So that is the thing we can learn from her novels. And even though we are new to that host land, and we are in need of going there, there are so many drawbacks are there, and we cannot stay in our home. So that is my point. So we cannot stay in our home, and for our livelihood we should go, and we should approach the other countries, and we should assimilate, and we should try to live as a transnationalist. So we should accept all the cultures. So due to the transport and facility, transport and communication, it is easier for us to adopt all those cultures. So we cannot say that we should live in our native land alone like that. So as the Tamil saying, Yadu Mure, Yavaram Keli. So like that, we should adopt everything, and we should live the thing like that. I am concluding. Thank you, ma'am.
Are there any questions from the participants? No? Okay, Dr. Kalayarisi, we do appreciate your attempt. It was a very good effort. Good luck with your other research works. Thank you. Can we have the next paper presenter? And that would be next paper presenter. Is she ready? Yes. Mr. Joshua Sundar Raja, PhD Research Scholar, Bishop Heber College, Trichy. Over to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, all. The title of my presentation is Biological Animism. Biological Animism in Post-Apocalyptic World, a short eco-critical literary study. Intangibles are visible only through their works results. There are certain non-physical entities which are commonly called spirits. Based on their characters, they are classified into good and evil, which are named in various names, such as angels, fairies, ghosts, etc. These characters are different from one another. Authors like John Searles, Edgar Allan Poe, Peter Straub, Somers, they bring out these higher dimension elements in literature. The religious belief that all creatures possess known as spirit, which is called as animism. While coming to this biological animism, it is from ecological perspective. Ecosystem comprises of all the biotic and abiotic components. None of them are neglected. Plant, trees, mountains, animals, birds have been worshipped in several regional cultures. Evidence are mentioned in many mythological and sacred religions books. Though human beings cut plant trees, they reinforce themselves and rebirth from foliage. This referred as a symbol of born and reborn death, an immortal creation within the ecosystem. Biological animism is the scientific evidence of the life of non-human beings to have the meta element, which is so called spirit and soul. The above religious evidence of human being on life after death is well painstaking as evidence for spirit and soul, so called the element called meta, the meta element. Coming to the dark ecology, Timothy Blacksman-Martin is an ecological philosopher who is a project in dark ecology. He mentioned, I quote, "Ecological awareness is weird. It has twisted, looping form. Since there is no limit to the scope of ecological being, biosphere, solar system, we can infer that all things have a loop form," I unquote. When the whole equals loop form, it depends on one another. Loops are mystery, I quote, mysterious, hypnotical, also unknowing. I unquote, said by Timothy. In essence, the meta element is invisible fuel to everything from animist's view. Consequently, the fuel has the power to create, protect, and destroy. Skim is the any element from the loop form may cause destruction. Skim is the meta element from the component of loop form may result towards apocalypse. Therefore, the biological animist view, the separation of spirit, the meta element from the non-human compound, leads towards a nuclear fission releasing a large amount of heat energy, which is named as global warming in present world. Concluding, worshipping nature is practicing various religions in the universe. Begin this worshipping nature as a nature culture. There are certain belief on animism. From this perspective, certain culture associate nature with the meta element like God and goddess. This may prevent the ecosystem the apocalypse, but real truth hidden is protect the mutual benefit that's circulating from the past eras to the present, and this may continue in future too. Mutual benefits are seen in everyday life. Humans receive shelter and food from nature and clothing from money. Same way, human cultivate the land in order to eat food, and also human tame the animal cultivating purpose. Those tamed animals taking care by human for certain time. This mutual benefits are processed not within same species. This mutual benefits process across the different species. Finally, I conclude. In case this biological is completely wrong, the nature will lose its own characteristics and also lose its core essence of rebirth and recycling. This was the biological animism, the loop from what Timothy Martin's DrKK, nature core element is rebirth. When a branch of tree or plant to cultivate another and it will grow up stemming its own root even in those branches are dried and called dead cells. Those dead cells are reusable as a neutral fertilizing agent, remaining organic neutral fertilizer like animal waste too.
Okay, thank you, sir. It was a good presentation. And you said that they worshipped nature. Can you parallelize it with the pantheist theory of Wordsworth?
Ma'am, in ecological perspective, certain animistic characters are associated with the natural elements, like thunder is considered there is something animism behind the thunder, and even in rain there is something animism behind it. Some animism is associated with the natural worshipping cultures.
Yes, what I mean is actually you said they worship. Okay, if you take the theory of Wordsworth, you could find that he worshipped nature. Okay, and it is called pantheism, the theory of pantheism. So can you apply such theories to this? What you mean by they believe that something is behind every natural environment or element. Each tree, a rain, a bird, an insect, everything has its own importance. Can you it's just to clarify whether we could apply the theory of pantheism on this?
Yeah, ma'am, it is applicable. Not only pantheism theory, there are certain theories like towards natures and eco-anarchisms and deontological theories. We can theories even applicable in this perspective, ma'am.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. So following
thank you,
him, we have Miss Soumya.
I'm here, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma. Good morning.
Good morning to everyone.
Yeah, good morning. You can carry on, ma.
Good morning, ma'am. The title of my paper, Desolation and Mental Agony. Mental Agony in Voices in the City by Anita Desai. Ma'am, I am audible, ma'am?
Yeah, you're very much audible. Carry on.
Yes, ma'am. I will be talking about the psychological aspect. So here Anita Desai is a great artist. Chiefly in her art of characterization is playing psychological insights. Psychological insights into the inner self.
Pardon me, ma'am, Miss Soumya, can you please turn on your camera, please? It's mandatory that the presenters keep their cameras on. Thank you.
Ma'am, inner self painting a realistic pictures of Indian setting and background. It is to be noted. That the novel of Anita Desai are not meant to explain theories of philosophy and psychological, but they remain for the upliftment of characters, especially women who are seen as worst sufferers. Voices in the City is Anita Desai's second novel dealing with the psychological problem of youth of today. As it may be about the growth working of psyche, it is rich symbolism. The novel is centered upon the search of the three characters, Nirod, Monisha and Amla, for meaningful and happy life. The city of Calcutta, which is presented symbolically as a living character, straps all the suffers. They suffers immensely while passing through the different stages of failures and struggles, and they are mentally suffering or depicted through variated symbols. In the novel, City of Calcutta function as an active agent pressing upon the multitudinous voices of the citizens, reducing most of the population, both male and female, to insects. The characters in themselves inactivity that lead them nowhere. The city of Calcutta is seen as puppets of air of emotional, intellectual, and spiritual stagnation. Is any of wishes to come out the stagnation is seen and rebel and reduced to plight of insect or some other dreadful of natures. Mirror dots are given verbal form by Anita Desai writing narration contain all the ugliness, happiness and despair. The image shows appropriately goes the long way in expressing the characters' inner heart process and indirectly style achieve the effect of the stream of consciousness technique.
Okay, can you just start to summarize?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All the other participants also, please stick on to the 3 minutes time limit.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Psychology probing of the female protagonist, namely Monisha, and how the young men are always ready to work against tradition and their own families, whereas the young men of the new generation lead them to far greater tragedies and spiritual struggle and put them in the sufferance of unspeakable agonies. Thus, the role of women suppression has reached beyond the entire struggle to sparkle and enlightened in the society towards success. In conclusion, it describes how modern women have to continue to play the role of propagator of human race and housewife, seeking full of their personality and fulfill her needs in the society to become a successful woman. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That was a very good presentation, Soumya.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
We wish you good luck in all your academic and research endeavors. And next, can we have Ms. K. Muthulakshmi, PhD scholar from Madurai Kamaraj University, Madurai. Yeah, she's ready. Good.
A very fine good morning to one and all present. Myself, Muthulakshmi, I'm here to present the paper on the topic Metamorphosis from Passivity to Potency, Anita Nayar's Lessons in Forgetting from a Feminist Perspective. So I have chosen Anita Nayar's novel Lessons in Forgetting for the presentation. Now, I would like to begin my presentation focusing on women's identity. Women's identity in this modern world even have become an interrogative state. Though women have their footprints in every sphere of life, their identity has been a question mark. Even the feministic concept of equal rights for women, all such things have become mere words in books. So even the original spirit of freedom that women ought to enjoy is not yet been achieved. So in order to set right all these, there needs to be a revolution, and this kind of revolution is being created by women writers by using the literary platform in a very brilliant way. So I'd like to focus on the Indian women writers especially, and for Indian women writers. Among these women writers has been like women writers like Meena Alexander and my writer Anita Nayar. Now Anita Nayar is the living postmodern Indian writer. She in all her novels she would like to uphold the rights of women. She exposes the feminine subjectivity from childhood to womanhood. She is one of the writers who vividly gives an exposition of multiple roles of women, their hidden struggles towards achieving their individuality through women protagonists. Now, getting into the novel Lessons in Forgetting, Lessons in Forgetting is a beautifully crafted story of redemption, forgiveness, and second chances. Now, we can come across many themes in this novel, such as victimization of women under patriarchal convention, marital crisis, gender disparity, man-woman relationship, female feticide, loneliness, and traumatized psyche of women. The characterization of Anita Nayar is here to be applauded, really. And getting into the novel, we come across two protagonists here, Meera and Smriti. Now, this protagonist life are interlinked with each other. Now, I'd like to focus on the emancipation of these two women, and I'd like to compare the emancipation of these women with the metamorphosis stage that we see in the life of a caterpillar. So emancipation of these women from passivity to potency is the main focus of this presentation. Now, getting into the first protagonist, who is Meera. Now, Meera is one of the protagonists, and she gets married to Giri. Giri is such a calculative person, and he always ponders on attaining a higher position in his life. He soon finds a job in a corporate world which does not satisfy him, since he wishes to reach the zenith of life. So Giri is very much interested in the lilac house, the property of Meera, which is the most prominent. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Am I audible, ma'am?
We would like to have your observation of the story rather than the gist of the story, because you're well past your time.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. So these two protagonists, Meera and Smriti. Okay, Meera's life is about Meera struggles in her married life, and on the other hand, Smriti is a teenage girl who comes across female feticide, problems of female feticide, and she wants to amend all kind of social injustice that she come across in her life. So these two protagonists, they strive hard, and at the end, they strive hard in their life, and they strive hard to set right the social injustice that is prevailing around them. And on the other hand, they come across, they are being demolished by the social injustices injustices that be prevailing in the society. So what I'm trying to conclude is now women nowadays women never get shattered or broken up by the injustice that they face or they come across. Instead, they make a defiant stance. They make a decision on their own, and they make a brilliant move further to set right everything, and they rely totally on their life, not by depending on men. So these two protagonists are the comparison to the women in the real life.
So, okay. So with that, you have concluded your presentation. Thank you, Muthulakshmi.
Thank you.
Any questions to her from other presenters and participants? No. Okay, ma, then you're done. Okay, the next person will be, I think the person is ready.
Madhumita.
J. Madhumita. Miss J. Madhumita of ABC College.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm
Mailadurai. Yeah, you can begin, ma.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my screen is visible, ma'am.
Yeah, screen is visible, but still we will try. Okay, okay. We'd like to have more of your, your part.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to one and all. Myself, Madhumita. I'm studying in third year UG in ABC College. I would like to present my paper about cultural issues of marriage in Chetan two states. The story of my marriage. Chetan shows the paradigm shift of culture in young Indian. Culture is important in olden days, but now it is slowly changed by the upcoming generation that is below the religion, caste, and culture. So, in my view, the best example for paradigm shift of culture is the two states. Indian culture. In Indian culture, what is like its vast geography, people speak in different languages, they distinct, contrasting, follow different religions, and eat different food, but they are of the same temperament. In our country, culture is different from one state to another state. Each state has distinct traditions and cultures. The new Britannica Encyclopedia quoted a classical definition for culture. Culture includes all capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. It is quoted by Bernard Tyler. Then Chetan Bhatt shows the two families from two different cultures, Tamil and Punjab. It is a story of interstate marriages in India. It is a love story of the Punjabi guy Krish Malhotra and the Tamil Brahmin girl named Ananya Swaminathan. Both the state has a different culture and traditions. Krish from Delhi, he came to study IIM Ahmedabad. Ananya, Tamilian, from Chennai, she also studied in IIM. Both of them became friends within few days, and they fall in love. They want to convince their parents for marriage. Most of the Indian parents does not accept the interstate marriages because of culture, caste, and traditions. So Tamil culture is too different from Punjabi culture. Let's see how the two states connected and how they got married. Krish got job in Citibank in Chennai. He convinced his mother for job in Chennai. His mother always told about Chennai people as Madras. She hates Tamil people. Then Chetan Bhatt shows the culture of Brahmins in this novel. Krish goes to Ananya's home for convincing her family. There he sees the Brahmin culture. It is very new to him. He sees the dressings of Tamil people. They wear saris and dhotis, and the home is in different style. Here ma'am, my voice is audible, ma'am.
Yes, you are audible.
Your voice is audible.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we would appreciate it if you could just come up with your observation rather than the story in brief, because most of us here have read the story, so we know it.
Okay. Chetan Bhatt shows the cultures of Brahmins in this novel. Sorry, ma'am. Ananya's family dislike him. Then he teaches her brother for exams and helps her father to make a PPT. He fulfills the dreams of Ananya's mother as a mother at a concert organized by Krish employers. Then Chetan Bhatt gives the difference between Tamil cultures and Punjabi culture. Ananya belongs to Tamil culture. Krish belongs to Punjabi culture. Ananya families they wear dhotis and saris, but in Punjab they wear kurtis. Tamil people love to hear Carnatic music, but in Punjab they love to hear Bhangra music, folk songs likewise. The favorite food of Tamil people are rice, vegetable curries, etc. But in Punjab they eat dal, roti likewise. Marriage in Tamil people, the marriages were held at morning, but in Punjabi side the marriages were held in at night. Then the Krish and Ananya, both a couple, wants their parents for marriages. They wants to convince their parents, so they got it. So they plan to make a trip to Goa to convince their parents. Krish and Anya's families go to Goa to give the parents an opportunity to get to know each other. But there is some conflict arisen between both the families, so the plan was failed. And then at last, Krish's father spent some days in Ananya homes. He liked the Tamil culture and accepted for the love. Krish and Ananya got married happily with their parents' permissions. Chetan Bhatt concludes the novels by saying there is only one state, that is India. I end the novel by saying the unity of diversity in India. I disclosed the cultural problems of multicultural India. I disclosed the different cultural diversities and try to show that the true love never dies. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Madhumita. So you have very well drawn a comparison between the life of Tamilians and Punjabis there. Okay, next, can we have Miss K? No, Miss S. Meera of ABC College, Mailadurai.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. We would like to see you.
Let me share my screen, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a minute.
I'm sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Ms. Meera, can you please keep your camera on?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Meera,
just a minute, ma'am. I will share my screen.
Okay, okay. Screen is not a problem. You can take your time. Just stick on to the time limit.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay.
Ma'am, is my slide visible, ma'am?
Yes, very much visible.
Yes,
You are audible. You can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Myself, S. Meera, 3rd BA English from ABC College, Autonomous. I would like to present my paper titled Cultural Conflicts in Kiran Desai's The Inheritance of Laws. Introduction: The Inheritance of Laws is a novel written by Kiran Desai. This novel won her the Man Booker Prize Award in 2006. In the story, this story revolves around 3 main characters, the judge, Biju and Sai. In this paper, the author efficiently deals with how the meetings of East and West culture get complicated in the lives of individuals. Then, in this particular novel, the author epicenters the contemporary international issues such as globalization, multiculturalism, economic inequality, fundamentalism, and terrorist violence. This novel begins at Churu in 1986. The judge and his granddaughter sitting on the veranda at their home while a cook makes tea, and the time a group of youngsters from Gorkha National Liberation Front threatens the judge with rifle and robs the valuable things from the house. Then the judge sends Cook to the police station. The police get suspicious on Cook and arrest him. For the reason that for the robberies happened there. The police returns to the house and they collect the letters of books which he had written to his son Biju. Biju works at a restaurant named Manhattan. Biju is not working, but he is not worked properly. Then Biju joins a French restaurant, but he is fired as the French restaurant. Sorry, ma'am. But there is fired as the customers complain about the smell of food. The story goes back to the 9 years when Soy was 8. She arrived to Judge home. Soy was grown up in St. Augustine English Customs. Her father and mother got died in bus accident. Benan found the address of the grandmother and returned her to him. Here the judge remembers why he had left his home at the age of 20 to join Indian Civil Service. He was educated in Cambridge. There he marries a 14-year-old girl named Nimmi. Her original name was Bella. After the arrival of Soy, the cook takes her to meet his new mentor Noni, who lives with his sister Lola. They are upper class and well educated. In this paragraph, the author shows differences between upper class and lower class. Then Biju's life in America begins at an Italian restaurant. His co-workers and the owner of the restaurant feel pinched from Biju, so he got fired again. Biju's search for identity is epicentered here. Then he takes job at Chinese restaurant. Then he does home delivery for the orders. As the food gets freezed on time of arrival, that too he gets dismissed. He then gets another job at Queen of Turks Bakery. Several years later, the judge feels ashamed of him because of Judge's poor treatment. He starts lying to other servants and asks Soy to exaggerate the judge's wealth and social standing. Cook says that the judge was born in peasant caste but his father saved pennies to send him to convent school. His hard work made him stand at the top. Here the culture squared the evidence. He attended Cambridge, passed his exam and got selected in Indian service. When Soy is 16, he asked the principal of local college to recommend a good maths teacher if he can. The principal of local college recommends Mr. Wolfgang, who is not having any job. At the Queen of Turks Bakery, Biju meets a Muslim man named Sese. They too aim at their green cards. One day they got questioned by a man who told that they can get them green cards. But in reality, they got cheated. They steal their money. The Queen of Turks Bakery closes. It was a rainy season. Gian and Soy's love begins to blossom. Later, Gian tells his family story about Soy, about how they had been taken advantage of serving in British Army. Biju now works at a restaurant called Brigadier Restaurant, but he is unhappy because the serve sticks. Biju spends time in changing jobs. Then he joins in Gandhi Survey, which is run by a man named Harish Hari. Harish Hari sponsors him for a green card. Soy celebrates Christmas with Lola, Noni for the booty and uncle party. After New Year, Gian is in the market. He sees a progress of young man from GNLF and puts forth his demands and complaints. The next day, Gian arrives to you and get angry by her complicity in English cultural elitism. Gian hates Soy for being a westernized Indian. As Soy is from multi-religious background, she likes to celebrate Christmas. Gian is of the thought that one's own tradition and culture could shape their personality, so he says that you are all slaves to Western culture. Then the judge remembers how his and Nimo's relationship had broke up. With the loss of identity, the judge returns from England. The judge insisted her to speak English customs. As she refused to do so, the judge treated her very badly. Here the author says how culture brings conflicts in the life of individuals. Biju returns to India. He catches a ride with GNLF man. As there were no buses in Kalimpong because of the political situation, he catches a ride with GNLF man. They take him most of the way before dropping him all his questions. He is forced to walk the rest of the way to Kalimpong. The gate rattles at Shoyuk, who goes to open the gate. It's Biju, the son of Cook. The cook and his son left at each other. The story ends with the reunion of Cook and his son. Conclusion, I would like to conclude all characters in this novel struggle with their cultural identity. There is also an impact of Western culture which made problems in the life of characters like Sai and Gyan. I would like to end with a quote, wherever one goes, one's culture follows and it is one's strong values which helps them to overcome the cultural conflicts. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Meera. And it was
Thank you, Meera. That was a very good presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Which ended with a good quotation. And now, next, can we have Mr. Arya Krishnan, PhD scholar, Madurai Kamaraj University.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, audible and visible. You can go on.
Okay, good morning, ma'am.
Okay,
good morning, all. My
morning.
topic of presentation is social realism in Perumal Murugan's Poonachi. So I just read a gist of my paper for the want of time. Realism in literature is an approach that attempts to describe life without romantic subjectivity. Realism cannot be limited to one particular century or group of writers. It's most often associated with the literary movement in 19th century France, specifically with the French writers Flaubert and Balzac. Realism in literature is a manner and method of picturing life as it really is, untouched by idealism or romanticism. Realistic fiction was primarily seen as a revolt against the sentimentality and melodrama of romantic idealism. Characters in realistic fiction tend to be more complex than those in romantic fiction. Settings are more voluntary, plots are less important, and themes are less obvious. A realistic fiction deals with probable commonplace events and believable people. It presents the unpleasant and even offensive subject matter. Then when it comes to Perumal Murugan, who was a well-known Indian writer in Tamil literature. He is a professor in Tamil in Government Arts and Science College, Namakkal. His writings break away from classical notions of Tamil literature and are largely set in rural areas. The sufferings of the Dalits are a strong thematic concerns to him. He wrote 10 novels, 5 collections of short stories and anthologies of poetry, and some of his novels have been translated into English. And when it comes to Poonachi, Poonachi, or the story of a black goat, was the second entry of Perumal Murugan to the world of Tamil literature, as he was under a self-imposed literary exile after the publication, the controversy regarding the publication of One Part Women. It was originally written in Tamil and translated into English by N. Kalyanaraman. Other than any other Murugan's novel, Poonachi stands independent in its characterization and theme. The center of attention here is a goat. In the preface of the novel itself, Murugan explains why he has selected a goat to be the central character. He writes, "I am fearful of writing about humans and even more fearful of writing about goats. I am comfortable with writing about animals, especially with goats." So comes to Poonachi. As the title suggests, it's the story of a goat named Poonachi, just a day old. One little kid is gifted to an older man in a village and happily adopted by his wife. Too young and undernourished, the family does everything to keep it alive. Under their vigilance, it manages to survive the encounter with a wild cat, an eagle, getting lost in the jungle, and recovers from an infected wound and slowly grows into a strong animal. The life of Poonachi is narrated as a carefree childhood with full of games and adulthood by giving milk. The narrator traces Poonachi's growth into maturity, dwelling her small happinesses and unabashedly depicting her sexual awakening. Being a doe saves her from the cruel fate of neutering and slaughtering, but vulnerable to the tribulations of pregnancy, motherhood, and separation from her kids. Poonachi, as her status as a miraculously fertile, high milk-yielding, 7 kids birthing mother, further victimizes her. So we have incidences of some social incidences of the part of humans, incidences from the humans society in the book. I quote from the text, but I'm not reading. Then some comes to the analysis. The central character, like Perumal Murugan's other novels, like The Seasons of the Palm and The Goat Thief, God plays a major role in these novels. But in Poonachi, it is the first novel to imbue these animals with a full range of emotion. If at first glance, the novel seems widely out of tune for Murugan, so adept at locating the rhythm, silences, and nuisances of human relationship forged under patriarchy and caste, these worries are misplaced. Poonachi is a classic Perumal Murugan novel, empathetically illuminating lives of poet, dignity overrun by subjugation and hardship. Though the story is undeniably about a goat, Poonachi, with all her struggles and dreams, represents the innocence of the daughters of our country. As a goat grows, its responsibilities increases, as do the expectations of people, and their behavior is a direct reference to the mindset of rural India. The book has a lot of social and political commentary. The author is from a family of farmers, and the insight he possesses on that life is well captured from the perspective of a goat. Like other Perumal Murugan novels, the social and political commentaries in Poonachi are veiled behind a tale that is ostensibly about goats. To be concluded, the novel captures or explores the needs essential for all living creatures. Like the real factor comes here: hunger, safe shelter, love, affection, or sex. As the translator in Kalyanaraman says, this is the first novel, Tamil novel, written about animal, written for adult readers. So, in a nutshell, it is not just an innocent story of a black goat, but a universal and political story of relevance, of love, of freedom, and of surveillance. That's all about the paper. Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. It was a good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, can you tell me how far the author is successful in producing or presenting the goat as the central character of his work? Was he successful? Was he able to convey whatever the things he wanted to convey to his readers?
The conditions, all the conditions like casteism, so that's a black goat there. The conditions of the Dalits and the female subjectivity, everything is revealed through the perspectiveness of a goat.
Okay, was he successful? Yes, that's what. Was he successful, or do you find any contradictions in his narration or incidents? The incidents which were narrated were closely knitted so that it could give all the cultural elements which are prevailing in the society.
Yeah, ma'am, there is an incident of ear-piercing culture of pet animals.
Yes.
That's prevailing in our society. That's an example, one example.
Okay, okay. So the author was successful in in producing or giving a lot of information and also experiences which are which can be related to the life of every individual.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Of course.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, can we have Mrs. J. Yoga Vinoda, research scholar, Madurai
Yes.
Kamala.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah. You can present.
Ma'am, I would like to share my screen. Just a moment.
Okay.
Can you see my screen, ma'am?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, ma'am. Good morning, one and all connected here. I'm glad to present my paper entitled James Baldwin's Female Character. First, I would like to introduce James Baldwin, the most gifted writer of African American literature. His writings spread over the period of around 40 years from 1947 to his death in 1987. Baldwin's personal struggle during his formative boyhood, his life under the strains of the strict religious system, and his participation in the American civil rights activities have yielded a brilliant intellectual outcome with passion and humanity in his works. By his writings, Baldwin shook the conscience of America and woke up the people all around the world to reality and truth. The main objective of the paper is to analyze the prominent women characters of James Baldwin. To concentrate more on women characters, we must discuss about feminism, especially white feminism and black feminism. White feminism complains of being barred from the mainstream American society, but black feminism in the same soil expresses the concern regarding the very existence and the possibility of black women's elimination from the domain of humanity. James Baldwin's women characters, by having black feminism as a tool, we are here to analyze about James Baldwin's female characters. Though Baldwin demonstrated his female characters with such self-will and endurance, they have not been spared from the victimization, torment, as well as domestic violence under the pressure of racism. So his famous women characters like Florence and Elizabeth in his novel Go Tell It on the Mountain, Dish in If Bale Street Could Talk, and Julia Miller in Just Above My Head, or thinking, passionate, and very strong women who took up the role of mothers, sisters, wives, and friends of the black male characters and supported them to lead a normal life in the racist American society. So, first, the character Florence represents the free-willed African American women who lived in 1930s during the period of Great Migration from Southern America to Northern America to find a better future. She being portrayed as a very strong character in Go Tell It on the Mountain, rebels against the injustice and suffocation of sexual role definition and double standard followed in the society and in her house. She resented her brother Gabriel since his birth because of their mother's favorism, which he received at her expense. She resented his sudden, newfound holiness, resented the way he treated his first wife Deborah and then Elizabeth, and resented his illicit relationship with Esther. Then Elizabeth in the same novel, the mothers in Baldwin's novel stand out in great honor and endure in that way. They save their children and their families, even as all the forces on the earth are opposed to them. Elizabeth in Go Tell It on the Mountain represents Baldwin's own mother who protected him from his cruel stepfather. Elizabeth, being a black woman, accepted the fact that she was unwanted by the white society and was underrated by her own black community. She stands as a symbol of doubly oppressed black female community of 1930s. Then Dish in If Beale Street Could Talk. Dish, a 19 years old girl, stands with the support of family love against the whole white American judicial system in order to rescue from her would-be husband Phony from jail. Phony was wrongly accused for raping the Puerto Rico woman. Dish's mother, Sharon Rivers, went to the extent to visit all alone the rape victim to convince her to change her police statement. Most of the major and minor characters in Field Street Could Talk acted as protector of the family while the family was in crisis. Baldwin composed the novel as a tribute to womanhood and motherhood. Then Julia Miller in Just Above My Head. Julia Miller has excelled as modern, brave, and intelligent woman who is ready to act when she is crushed under racism and sexism. Baldwin's women characters gradually reflect the development in their attitude towards life. In his early novels, the black women mostly accept their predicament as passive women, but in his later novels, they grow up as warriors to wage a battle to question their cruel, oppressed existence. Especially in the lost novel, Just Above My Head, Julia Miller is excelled as modern and brave woman. She is crushed under racism and sexism, but Baldwin drafted her as a proof for the beginning of black feminism. Julia Miller led her life by safeguarding her younger brother Jimmy from her father's guilt, and at last she left America to Africa to know the roots of her ancestors in search of her primitive identity. So, James Baldwin, through his depiction of women, Baldwin makes the readers understand her sexual, racial, and social politics. The recent prominent writers, African American women writers like Gloria Naylor, Maya Angelou, and Toni Morrison, have Baldwin as a touchstone to depict women characters and their relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Yoga Vinoda. It was a very brief presentation. At the same time, it has come up with different perspectives like black feminism and white feminism.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. We can proceed to the next.
Okay, Yoga Vinoda.
Thank you, ma'am.
Convey
Thank
our
you.
best regards for your research work also.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Akila from Ayanada Janagi Ammal College, Sivakasi.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Let me present my screen, ma'am.
Yeah.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
No, not really. Or otherwise, you can just go ahead with your presentation and we can listen to it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. And my topic that I'm going to present here is on a pragmatic portmanteau on magic and realism in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And my PhD topic is on the didactical values on the personal growth of the character Harry Potter series. And for this paper presentation, I have taken the first book of Harry Potter, and also I thought of dwelling into one of the famous themes in Harry Potter series. That would be none other than magic realism. And regarding magic realism, this particular concept is a recent concept, but then it has been found out previously. Now only during this particular period, it has been talked a lot. And this magic realism, it just blends out the fantastical events or the magical events and just to that of the reality, and just makes the people to view it in a reliable tone. So people, when they view it, they think that something real is happening in front of them. So right from the classical period, we have been told that whatever that is going to be depicted on the stage, whatever that is going to be read by the readers, everything should be imitated from life. So everything should be taken up from life. So that was the concept that has been preached to us from the classical writers. But then it cannot be always possible. But then these writers, the recent writers, they just pen it in such a way that though they write fantastical events, they portray it in a sense that they appear to be a real thing that is happening around us. And also for this particular concept, magic realism, they take the sources from fables, folk tales, and also mythology, because all these things are familiar to us right from the childhood. And also even our ancestors also, they are very much familiar to it. So it has been continuously talking about in all the ages, and these sources, it just pave a way that we, though we hear whatever has been depicted in magical form or fantastical form, we are very much known to it. And also we don't feel that it is something alienated to us. So it is this particular magic realism concept, by blending magic and realism through these sources, it just maintains the contemporary social relevance. So they also satisfies the viewpoint of classical writers, and also they were able to bring up something new to the readers. And also we have something called, all the human beings, we have something called escapism. There is a saying that you should not build castles in the air, but then it has been very common to the human nature that we always build a castle, and in that particular castle we always go and stick on there and live in that particular imaginary world. That is very much common. And this particular concept of magic realism, it acts as a loophole for all the beings to escape into another world, where they find a sort of satisfaction to lead on. And this particular concept also acts as a stress buster for beings. So in a way that they feel that they are able to escape to another world from their common reality that oppresses them like anything. And also J.K. Rowling, my writer J.K. Rowling, she has constructed a beautiful bridge, a strong bridge that just connects fantasy and realism. And she just makes that nonsense thing to a sensible thing. So that's what that is her important trait that has made this book ever successful one, all the series, even in the movie form or else in the book form. And also another thing is that human beings, they can easily imagine everything. So it is not a hard thing for them to understand what is a magical thing and what is realistic thing. But then there is a concept that the people, they have to understand that they have to imagine that that is near to us. So something that has happened to their neighbors, something that is happening near to them. So that for that particular reason, this concept of magic realism has been used by many of the fantasy writers. And also this Harry Potter series, it comes under young adult fiction. And particularly for this young adult fiction, this magic realism is considered to be the subset of fantasy fiction. So this actually in young adult fiction or else children literature, people, the readers especially, they are taught some didactical values. So if they are just announced in such a way that you have to follow this, you have to follow that, they won't stick on to it. So in a sugar coated pill form, everything has to be given to them. So for that reason also, for this young adult fiction, writers, they used to go on to this magic realism concept. And also they mold their characters in such a way that they also adhere to the concept of magic realism. And coming on to the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling, she has portrayed two types of characters, two types of people. They are muggles and witches and wizards. And one is non-magical one, another one is magical concept. And also she has beautifully blended both the people. They will lead their life common in the common London area or else in some other place. But then they won't. You won't find that even the neighbors, they'll be having magical power. But then it is very much common to us, everything. And also even their costumes. And also the one thing is that they would be having a wand in their hand. So that would be the peculiar thing that we can find in the characters. And moving on to the character Harry Potter, the protagonist of the novel, he was found to be a meek character, an ordinary appearance boy, would be like our relative, like our brother, an ordinary person with a spectacle. But then he would be having something like a lightning bolt score, so that would make him somewhat unique from the other beings. But also he is similar to the other children in the nature of like he is an orphan. He was brought up by his uncle and aunt. So like the other people, like the other orphans who have the similar traits of uncomfort feeling, he also has got it. He would be devoid of good shelter, devoid of good clothing, good education, and all such things. So everything is very much similar. In literature, we have got so many characters similar to Harry Potter. So it is easy for us to compare it to the Harry Potter, who is a normal character. But then, as he is a wizard, he should be having some abnormality, right? So he would be, whenever he gets angry, so some unusual things happen around him. But then, even in the emotional point of view, the writer, she writes in the way that we all feel, when we get angry, we want to pour it out to others. But then the situation and all such things that surround us, it makes a hindrance there to let it out our anger. But then this Harry Potter also, he wants to show his anger to other people, but then there is some inhibition for him around there. But then as he is a wizard, he lets out in a way that it hurts other beings. So it is common thing also. And moving on to other things other than characters, like that of transportation and others and things, trains are being used there for transportation purpose. And this particular trains for this station, railway station, the J.K. Rowling, she has used the common thing called King's Cross station, the very busiest station in London, and it was very common to us. But then there also she has included the fantastical event even in the platform number 93/4. So that's something unique, right? So and moving on to school also, everything would be common. But then the school would be in the form of castle, but then there are folk schoolhouses there. That is very much common to our school life. We'll be given rewards if we go and win in any sports and academic activities. Our houses would be rewarded for that, and also we'd be offered some shields and medals for it. The same thing.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you brief your, can you summarize your paper and give the conclusion?
Sure, ma'am. And J.K. Rowling, she has used mythology in a right sense in depicting the Philosopher's Stone. For that purpose, I have chosen this first book, Philosopher's Stone. And right from the mythological story that the power of the stone is to resurrect the dead ones. The same thing has been shown here, but also it is very much common to us, and also the fantastical creatures like trolls, monsters, and dragons. And these are all the classical fictional elements of ancient times. And these are also shown to us. But then she hasn't shown any paranormal activity which create nightmares in the readers. So the people who read it, they are able to find out that there is a beautiful bridge that has been drawn by J.K. Rowling to bridge the realistic and the fantastic world. And also, though she has used magic realism, we cannot trace it in the story anywhere else. And I feel that that is the success of J.K. Rowling in depicting magic realism in her story.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. It was indeed a deep study on magical realism.
Thank you.
Can you give me it's just as a question, which do you think you mentioned about escapism? Okay, there's magical things and all the witches and the magical things which happening around them, around all the characters, is a mean to make the characters escape from the stress. Okay, it is an act of stress buster. How can we adopt the same technique in our day-to-day life? How far is it possible to make it into a realism in our life?
For that purpose, I felt that if we started reading the book, it shall pave us a way for escapism. I felt so, ma'am.
Okay. So, but actually, whatever or whenever we advise someone, we will make others to face the challenges rather than escape from it. Okay. So though it is a tool which is used as a stress buster, we need it, but still
in a little dose.
These magics can only happen in only a few of our lives, not on the life of every individual. Okay, thank you. It was a deep study.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Mrs. Akila, actually there's a question for you in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
The question is, while you were reading for this paper about young adult literature, did you come across any recent updates in this area? So what's new in young adult literature? That's a question to you.
In young adult fiction, I thought when I was reading it, I have come across certain things that the writers, they are keen in advising their readers. So it is very much mandatory nowadays, I feel so. And also they explain it in such a way that it is not directly revealed to them. So they stick on to certain ways like that of magic realism, so that they can easily take it up. And also certain postmodern writers also, they go for this particular concept.
Okay, that was a very plausible explanation. And next we have an exceptional case here. This paper is to be presented by one Miss B. Rajini, who lives in Andaman. And her PhD guide, Prasanna Devi, is here in Sivakasi. And it is said that Andaman has only 2G facilities. So in order to overcome this limitation, the paper presenter along with the research guide has recorded the presentation, and they have sent us that video. So now we are going to play that video for you. So Dr. Prasanna Devi will be playing the video to you. And I hope the video is trimmed to say 3 to 5 minutes. I hope so. Okay, yes. Over to you, Prasanna Devi.
Madam, yes, it took nearly 10 minutes only. So let me share her presentation. Hope it is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Somehow it's not audible, I think. Is it audible?
No, ma'am, it's not.
Actually, we could hear you, but not her. Maybe I think you can just flip. We can just flip through the slides, and you can give us a gist. And we do appreciate your scholars' attempt to send a video presentation to us quite ahead of time. So that's how you overcome all these limitations posed on us by technology. Okay, I think we can just go through the slides.
Wait for a few seconds.
Dr. Prasanna Devi, are you there?
Just wait for a few seconds, madam.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm just asking the next presenter, Ms. P. Prahadishwari, PhD scholar, Government Arts College, Nandanam, Chennai, to be ready with her paper.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, okay, you are very much. Okay.
I'm sharing her. Is it audible?
No, ma'am, it's not audible.
Actually, it's not audible. I think you can just flip through the slides so that at least we can look at the contents.
Okay. Ngugi Thiong'o is actually a Kenyan writer, and this novel, his third novel, A Grain of Wheat, is about the independent struggle of the people of Kenya, and the Mama movement that is given here is a freedom movement, but the British branded it as a terrorist movement, and the British government declared emergency in the year 1952, and at last, after much struggle for 11 years, even before that, they started freedom struggle. And at last, in the year 1963, they gained freedom. And these are the major protagonists of the novel. So and these are the important characters. And the story takes place in a Kenyan town called Tabai. Actually, through all these characters, freedom is possible only when free of inner turmoil. Actually, the characters, they both suffer due to psychological as well as physical struggles. The character Gikonyo, he endured torture in prison, and he was detained for 7 long years. 6 to 7 years in detention camp. And when he came back, he was shocked to see his own wife. She became the mother of another man, Karanja's child. So all these complexities gave stress to the characters. And during the emergency period, while the Mama fighters, they suffered a lot physically, and other characters like women, old women, and children, they suffered due to hunger, and they had other psychological problems and that. And the Bodhi portrayed the major circumstances of the lives of the protagonist.
But clear than the bay, ready to put the slides or the ஃபேரா அதுக்கப்புறமா தான் தெரியும். அடுத்தடுத்து யாருன்னு தான் சொல்றாங்க. அதுல கொடுத்துருக்காங்க, நேம் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க பாக்கலாம் கூட.
I think someone has to mute that part. Krishna Devi, madam, you can continue.
Try to conclude in the conclusion. So the British at last decided to give freedom to Kenya, and the people, like KARTHIKA is the true freedom fighter, and he was betrayed by someone, and he was hanged by the British, as the story goes. And the people, unfortunately, they celebrated the wrong person, Mugo, to be the hero, but it is not so. And they, some of them, they mistook Karanja to be the betrayer. But actually, the real betrayer of KARTHIKA is only Mugo. And the people, and Mumbi, another important character, she forgave everybody. She is the sister of KARTHIKA, but she forgave Mugo, and she even forgave her own husband for calling her a whore and all. And Karanja is the reason for her impregnation and the child later on, and she even forgave Karanja too. And actually, she is not a betrayer. Gikonya thought that she is the betrayer. Actually, she is not the betrayer. She is the one who was betrayed. And in spite of their weaknesses, the characters found strength in confessing their weaknesses and achieved their psychological freedom. So while Kenya achieved physical independence, the characters who suffered physically and mentally, they attained true freedom when they were brave enough to fight against their own inner demons. They achieved their freedom. So this is the title, metaphor of freedom. So hope I have given justification to her paper. Anyway, I just went through the paper. If you have any question, okay, you can ask. I'll try to explain.
Okay, that was a very good presentation. I can understand that it was an impromptu one, and
I'm sorry, Karthika madam, I couldn't hear.
Did you hear me? Okay.
Now
It was a very good impromptu presentation from you. For the last minute, you were able to manage it so well. And your paper has highlighted the difference between political freedom and psychological freedom.
Yes.
And I think we'll have to take this more seriously. Psychological freedom is something that has to be, taken to the masses.
Yes.
Okay, next. Thank you, Dr. Prasna Devi. Next, can we have Ms. Prahadishwari? She's all set and ready. Okay, you can carry on, Prahadishwari. 3 minutes time limit, okay?
3 minutes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Good morning, all. Title of my paper is Marriage of Convenience in Amitav Ghosh novels, Sea of Purpose and Flood of Fire. In this paper, I introduce Amitav Ghosh and the two novels, Sea of Purpose and Flood of Fire. And I give you the definition of what is marriage and what it requires, and what is the marriage of convenience. And I found two instances of marriage of convenience in these two novels, Sea of Purpose and Flood of Fire. They are Diti and Catherine Bradshaw, and I give you the conclusion. First, introduce the author. Amitav Ghosh. He is a reputed Indian contemporary novelist in English, and he was born in 1956 in Calcutta. as I am given only 3 minutes, I skip this. The novels and awards of Amitav Ghosh. Already you know very well about Amitav Ghosh because he is a famous writer in India. I introduce Sea of Purpose. Sea of Purpose is a first volume of Ibis trilogy, and the other 2 volumes are A River of Smoke and Flood of Fire. Sea of Purpose, which is set just before the first Opium War between Britain and Qing dynasty of China. And this book is divided into 3 parts: land, river, and sea. And this novel portrays most horrendous traditions and practices of India. And also this narrates how the poppies are grown in India and processed in India and sold out in China by the Britishers. The Britishers exploited humans as well as the environment of the colonized land. And also this book reveals how the native people of India migrated as a slave to Mauritius in Ibis ship. Flood of Fire is the last volume of Ibis trilogy, and this is set exactly on the first Opium War between 1839 to 1842. British merchants, they sell opium in China in the name of free trade, but the Commissioner Lin, the Chinese Commissioner Lin, he wanted to ban opium trade to safeguard his countrymen from opium addiction, so that he forced the opium traders to surrender the opium. But later, with the support of Queen of England, they demanded the compensation of the opium, which is surrendered to the Commissioner Lin. And in the first Opium War, with the support of Queen of England, the Britain won. Ghosh is a popular and leading contemporary Indian fiction and non-fiction writer and an anthropologist and a historian. He blended Indian culture and history with fiction. And I took marriage as a theme in this novel, and he explored marriage, the convent marriage as a theme in his novel, Sea of Purpose and Flood of Fire. I define, as Meenakshi Mukherjee observes, among some 150 novels published in the last 30 years, one finds hardly 24 books where a marriage ceremony has not been described. I define marriage and what marriage requires in the words of Matt Loughlin. I quote, "A successful marriage requires falling in love many times, always with the same person." But what is marriage of convenience? Marriage which is arranged for the practical, financial, or political reasons, and this happens among all status of people for the benefits of social and economic convenience. Here I have found 2 instances of marriage of convenience in the novel Sea of Purpose and Flood of Fire. Preeti is a protagonist of this novel. She lives in Nagercoil and she had light grey eyes, and she became the victim of convent marriage. And there are 2 reasons behind this convent marriage between DT and Kam Singh. One is, Bhairav Singh says, DT's brother, I quote, "What is to lose? I hear your sister's stars are not poor, and she is already of an age when it will be hard for her to find a husband. Hakam Singh has a good job and several bihas of land. Isn't this a good offer? And there is one more reason behind this marriage, which is Bhairav Singh, he offers and he promises the promotion, quick promotion of Ketri Singh in British region. For these 2 reasons, the marriage is arranged between DT and Hakam Singh, and none asked her consent in this marriage. On the wedding night, she was struck by her important husband, and she was raped by the brother-in-law of her, Chandan Singh, to safeguard the family name. And when the husband dies, she is forced to die in the funeral pyre of her husband. But fortunately, she was rescued by the Oxford driver, Kalov, and they both joined as a slave in Ibis ship. So this is the end of the marriage, and the marriage between DT and Kansim leaves her as a slave in Mauritius. And another victim of convent marriage is Catherine Brasha. She is a British woman, but she lives in India, and she is the daughter of Brigadier General in Bengal Native Infantry. And she fell in love with a handsome subaltern. He is just a year older than her. But there are two reasons behind the marriage between Catherine Brasha and Mr. Baram. This is arranged by her parents for getting a generous settlement from Mr. Baram. And there is one more reason. Mr. Baram, he wanted to get into the circle of opium trade. So he accepts the marriage and he gave a generous settlement to the parents of Catherine Bradshaw. As the marriage is not happy to Catherine Bradshaw, she involves in a illegal physical affair with Zachary Ray. And she says, I quote, "Mine was not that kind of marriage. My union with Mr. Baram came about for many purposes, but pleasure was not among them. I was but 18 and he was 15 years my senior. He wanted responsibility and an entry into circles that had been close to him." I unquote. I conclude, women become the victim of convent marriages, and women being the pride of a family in India, they must preserve their family name. And in accord to that, women do not voice out against their family's decision. And in the patriarchal society, women are subjected to oppression. And the parents or elderly men only have the authority to decide on their family decisions, especially not the female individual. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. B. Prahadishwari, that was a good presentation. And next, can we have Ms. D. Mahalakshmi, Assistant Professor, Rajeshwari Vedachalam Government Arts College. And we are well behind our schedule, so I request her to keep it really brief. Ms. D. Mahalakshmi.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't think so. She's available.
Okay, can we have the next person, Mrs. Yam Kunguma Ishwari, Assistant Professor, Vinayaka Missions College of Nursing, Puducherry.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, madam, you're audible.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Please hold on, ma'am. Please hold on,
ma'am. Okay. And the next person will be Mr. Ithikis from VHNSN College. Is he available here?
Hello. Hello, ma'am. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible
Yeah,
and visible.
I'm here, ma'am. I'm here.
Okay, okay. If it needs more time, we can ask Tychus to continue.
No, ma'am, I'm ready, ma'am.
Madam, we request you
I'm
to
ready.
keep it really.
Ready, ma'am. Hello. Good afternoon to everybody. Yes, hello.
Yes, yes, you are audible. Proceed.
Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon.
Yeah, ma'am. Am I visible, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, you are.
Your screen is visible. You're audible. Please go.
Okay. My topic is paradigm shifts in teaching English language. Yeah, we are well aware about the fact that English plays a very important role. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
In plays a very important role, ma'am. And some studies are there.
I think
Some studies are there that suggest that English seems to be not that much that is Indians are not that much good in using English, ma'am. Okay.
Now, I would rather suggest that you continue with the presentation. I mean, on your own without the slides.
Yeah.
If you could manage it.
So we are in the urge to sort out the glitches that retards us from communicating the language and come over with some remedial measures. So let me first know what is paradigm shift. So it is the change that replaces the usual mode of thinking or performing a thing in some different and innovative approach. So paradigm shifts in teaching English. That is, the term discusses on some innovative approaches that facilitate the best learning environment of the target language. So factors that affects language learning process. That is, language teaching is affected by multitudinous factors ranging from the political and cultural environments of a region to the insights and practices of every learner and teacher. So let me see some methods and approaches of English language teaching. So some of the methods that we practice from very old period are grammar translation method. The oldest method is the very oldest method that we practice this method for so many years. We have been practicing this method of teaching this method to missionaries when they entered India. Memorization is the main strategy followed. Students have to translate phrases and paragraphs from the target language to their native language and vice versa. The method simply taught about the language instead of using the language. Then focuses mother tongue and ignores target language. Spoken skill is not developed here. Emphasizes grammatical rules of the target language. The method recommends the translation alone. So some of the demerits in this method of grammar translation method of, it focuses only the mother tongue and ignores the target language. Spoken skill is not developed. As simply memorization went on, spoken skill is not developed. Then emphasizes grammatical rules of the target language. The method recommends the translation alone. Next method is the direct method. It emphasizes on oral language with phonetical practice. Students are made to think in the target language as if they do with their mother tongue. From the very beginning, they have to practice this method. If they are going, while they are joining in the LKG, they're speaking in the target language of the language and improves the language fluency. Natural method of listening, speaking, reading, and writing occurs as if we do in our mother tongue. So audio-visual aids will be more effective. Apart from that contextual learning, audio-visual aids help them to use the language more effectively. Then it too has some demerits. It was difficult to practice since native language should not be used. Then average and weaker students might feel difficult to speak the target language. The method won't be effective in the early stage of learning. Teachers need to be more competent. They need to be competent enough to make the students speak in the language. Then the teacher has to give individual attention whether they're using to see whether they are using the language. The students are using the language properly. And it becomes difficult to demonstrate without suitable context, real objects for the upper classes. If we practice this method, the teacher has to provide them with the proper context, real objects, and they felt little difficult to use this.
Okay, madam, can we just have your conclusion?
Yeah, ma'am. So we practice so many methods like bilingual method and natural method, and so we have so many approaches also. That is structural approach, situational approach, communication approach, constructive approach, and we practice through latest technologies also. Still, we are lacking in some of the areas. So I have certain ideas to enhance the methodology of language teaching. That is the incompetence of the teachers. That is, teachers need to be competent in technology. Technology-wise, they need to be competent enough, and we need to give practice to them. Then, ignorance of students and parents need to know the importance of English language learning from their elementary level itself. Then, restructuring of the syllabus. Syllabus should be framed to impart basic skills at the elementary level and to acquire functional proficiency in the form of various compositions to the students at higher levels. Then, molding of methodology. Importance has to be given to practical sessions, altering evaluation procedure. That is allocating a certain percentage to the practical skills. That is making them, evaluating their speaking skills and all. Then need for equal emphasis. Equal weightage should be given to the language along with the other subjects. And then molding of methodology.
Okay, madam. Just concluded.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, can we have Mr. Tikus?
Hello,
Are
ma'am.
you there? I think the presenter was there. Yes. And I would like to request you to pronounce your name once and then continue.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. My name is Taichikas. Actually, it is not. Actually, the correct pronunciation is Taichikas. It is a name, a Greek word. TCHI, Achilles, no, ma'am. Taichikas. Actually, I have to apologize, ma'am. Actually, I have to present the sixth person. No,
Yeah, of course.
I'm really sorry for the late.
Session.
I thought I have to present the paper. Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I
Okay,
know.
ma'am. Shall I start, ma'am?
Yeah, you're the tail end of the entire conference, so you can just brief it up as much as possible.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. I will. Okay, ma'am. Let me start. The title of my paper is Belt and Braces Approaches in ELT Classrooms. Actually, a belt and braces approaches, you all may heard about this phrase. A belt and brace approaches is a measure taken in advance to prevent something dangerous or unpleasant or inconvenient from happening. I have got this definition from Merriam-Webster dictionary. I thought it was a good phrase and I have kept it for my title. A belt and braces approaches in ELT classrooms. In this paper, I have discussed certain problems that both the students and teachers come across in their ELT classrooms, especially in rural classrooms. And I have given some belt and braces approaches in this paper. In other words, I have given some safety measures to root out this problem of incommunicability in ELT classes. So today, the communication plays a vital role in this world. Without communication, the world cannot roll on. No. So there is a saying that good communication is just as stimulating as a black coffee and just hard to sleep after. So everybody might have some interesting thoughts floating on their minds, but they could not able to express it in their words effectively and bring a good impact on the listeners. So the basic communication is like a two-way street. Both the sender and the receiver have to do something for a good communication. Both have to do something for the good communication to go on. In the present system of teaching of English, it goes on like this. The teacher is interpreting some topic in his own language without facilitating the students to discuss the subject taught, or they will not allow the students to interact with it. This way of teaching is like a one-way traffic, no, where the vehicles run in a particular direction alone. In this case, the students learn the language silently and they sit passively without learning anything. They become speechless and they could not even communicate in any English there. This type of faulty system of teaching and languages in the classes is a reason for the students incompetent in speaking English. Next, I have given some contrastive picture of the facilities available to both rural students and the urban students, urban colleges students. Why I have given this contrastive picture means to highlight the superiority of the learners of English in the towns and cities more than the rural college students. The students studying in urban colleges gain advantages like attending spoken English classes in spoken English tutorial classes, online classes, in order to develop their speaking ability. On the other hand, the rural colleges are deprived of such facilities of attending English classes, and they betray their inability and deficiency to communicate in English. So it is a great drawback for the rural college students. And one who is well up in English grammar is supposed to have a wider vocabulary, and they speak with appropriate prepositions, and they know how to use where to use synonyms and antonyms there. This lack of grammatical knowledge render the students this lack of grammatical knowledge render the students unable to speak in English with the correct sentences and the usage of right words. A major disadvantage encountered by the students of rural colleges is the unavailability of electronic devices like Android mobile phone, computers, and so on. During this present pandemic period also, all schools and the colleges are conducting their online classes through the platforms such as Google Meet, Zoom, and etc. But some of the rural students don't even have that electronic devices to attend such classes. So teaching through electronic devices prevent such rural students from attending such classes. Ultimately, they couldn't able to learn English, or they don't have time to speak in English. These are the disadvantages I have given in my paper. And at last, I have given some belt and braces approaches. I mean, certain safety measures to root out this problem. And I have read a book in the name of Essentials of English Teaching by R.K. Janin. He says in his book that he has given some safety measures. Every day, at least one remedial class should be taken for each year's students. Teachers must motivate and encourage them to speak a few sentences about the topic which he is comfortable with. Another factor that is essential for spoken English is the organization of seminars. Students actively take in that seminars and symposiums. Apart from seminars and meetings, certain meetings should be arranged for the students and by the students in order to motivate them to take part in that conduct. Students must be given guidance how to welcome the chief guest in a meeting, how to introduce the chief guest, and how to propose a vote of thanks. So, during the last decade of the world has been rapidly getting smaller and smaller. No, the concept of e-learning has playing a vital role today. The broad range of social medias are there. Teachers can use any one of the social media to create a group for your students where he or she can give various tasks for the students to improve their communicability. To conclude, I have come to the conclusion. To conclude, in the view of incommunicability of the students of rural college, all the schemes suggested in my papers, I have given many approaches there. If the students and the teachers go through that belt and braces approaches, which are to be implemented uncompromisingly with a view of invigorating the methods of teaching spoken English. In order to make the students compete in this competitive world, the teachers are expected to adopt many innovative methods in English teaching to the students to improve their speaking in English. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So
He has concluded that teachers need to concentrate more on their teaching skills. Okay.
Okay.
Good that you pointed it out.
Okay.
Okay. So that will be the end of he was the last presenter of our session.
Okay.
In fact, for the entire conference.
Thank you, Karthika ma'am. Thank you, Dali ma'am, for helping us to run this session smoothly. And thank you for the participants and the presenters for participants to look in the chat box where the feedback form has been posted. Kindly fill up the feedback form within 1 hour's time before the link expires. And the link for the next session will be posted in the WhatsApp group at 12:45, and you're requested to be punctual for the valedictory. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.